So, now that we've got YouTube should be coming on now. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be checking out New Cycle. So, New Cycle is a brand new released early access city builder game, survival style city builder game. I believe it came out 2 days ago. I think it was Wednesday is when it dropped in early access. I could be wrong about that. It's either Wednesday or Thursday. But it is a post-apocalyptic city builder. You know, humanity's on the ropes, and you're trying to rebuild it. There's 1,000 of these. Most of them are pretty garbage. Like, I shouldn't say garbage, that's not fair. They're pretty lackluster, that they're only, like, skin deep, and, you know, you play a little bit, and you get past that, like, initial, here's new city builder, and you go, oh, there's really not much down here. I have heard, though, that this one is pretty solid. In regards to the graphics are fantastic. It's got a lot of good working systems that are well designed. But I've also heard it is a bit on the buggy side. And that can be game breaking as such. It is early access. As you can tell, it's alpha version 24. And they did just release an early access. So we'll see. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into our settings and see what we've got for accessibility stuff. We have just a bunch of graphic stuff. One big thing that I noticed, there's no window full screen. Now granted, it's weirdly working like windowed full screen, so maybe it's just windowed full screen by default, but like I just clicked out of the window and the audio is still playing, so I guess it's just windowed full screen? I don't know. We have a bunch of different, like, graphical view stuff. So for example, depth of field, sometimes like the depth of field blur effect, that can sometimes mess with people with motion sickness stuff. I can also imagine clouds going by maybe. So I do appreciate that they have that you can turn on and off some of these things like interactive grass, clouds, and all that, because that might be a motion sickness thing. We've got our volume stuff, which the volume does seem to be pretty sensitive on this one. We're down to like 7. I might even take it lower than this, honestly. But that is a usual problem for my setup, is most games that got dropped to like 10-50%. Thank you for those who participated in the hype train. We had a sub and 100 biddies, so I do appreciate that. So thank you. And controls are coming soon. Again, early access. But yeah. So I've got all this stuff going on. So with all that said, there's not a whole lot more to look at the settings. So you got some nice accessibility stuff to help with people with motion sickness. They also had the thing where for some games, when you take the mouse to the edge of the screen, it starts to scroll. And that can be good for a lot of people. For a lot of people, that can also be a motion sickness kind of thing. Plus, it can also be kind of just frustrating, because there's times you'll have the thing you want to click on the edge of the screen, and you'll move your mouse over, and suddenly the screen just zips to the side, and now your mouse isn't over the thing you're trying to click on. You get the idea. That sometimes can just be an annoying feature. It can be good and bad. Alright, so new game. We will go with the Sandbox, which is their story mode. The game does give me some Frostpunk vibes in the whole music feeling, just kind of like almost depressive and everything. Let's see, new story. Presenting all the mechanics and the tribulations that can be experienced in the dynamic universe of New Cycle. And then it looks like later on we will have like different styles of play. Like this one looks like it's very heavy combat, I guess. Because it just says large scale self-defense mechanics. And then this one is going to be more of a very difficult one, in the sense of that there's some like disease outbreak kind of thing. But they're not available yet, early access. Let's see. Standard timeline allows you to start from the first cycle and play sandbox mode with the standard setup. A game mode. Sorry, beginning from cycle 5, with developments already researched. Okay, so basically, this is if you want a fresh right from the beginning, almost tutorial start. And then this one is where like you skip past the early game right into it. Well, since we're brand new players, let's do that. Okay, so we get to choose our different maps. We have the meadow, home of open stretches of land and fertile soil. This biome transitions relatively smoothly between seasons. Though not overly challenging in terms of food and water, underground resources are somewhat scarce. Less settleable land, rich agriculture and water resources, rich forest resources. We have tundra with few wooded areas but fertile soil. This biome is home to rich underground surface and surface water and a mostly arid climate where winters can often run for long. Beneath the surface, mineral-rich formations can be observed. Okay. And let's see, an environment that lacks trees, but whose fertile soil and vitality can provide an adequate food supply. Limited water supply and winters without snow can pose occasional challenges. So basically, from what it's saying is, you have less settleable land on this one and less minerals. On this one, you have harsh weather and less trees. So I think this is actually like the hardest map. And then this one has limited water. Now, we're new to the game, so we'll just do this one. It's in the first position. More than likely, it is what you're expected to play your very first time. And usually, most time I play a game for the first time, I will just go with, like, what are the recommended default developer, whatever you want to call them, settings. The place where it's like, here is where they're expecting to be. Because some of these games will go very easy or hard, depending. Alright, first step, choose a location. We've reached this unknown land after a long journey. Alright, so just trying to gauge by her getup. It's like weirdly kind of medieval, but also very obviously having more modern stuff too. Interesting. It's like a mix of what'd be like medieval colonial time and more modern stuff. Okay. Makes sense, post-apocalyptic. Long journey. It seems isolated and safe. We hope it'll offer enough resources for a new start. Choose the most suitable spot to settle in the area to guide us to set up our base camp. Let's begin. Why is that a mouse over? So the mouse over says, go to the building menu, select the main hall, and place it in desired location. Are you going to present that text somewhere else? Alright, first party foul. I'm okay with it being a mouse over that tells you that. Why is that not up here? Oh, wow. I just noticed they made the mouse... The mouse is huge for me, like... I can fully cover up this P with the mouse on my screen. So it is so weird that in the game capture, the mouse is smaller. It doesn't matter, that's like streamer problem. It's just kind of a weird phenomena. Alright, can I adjust that? No, I probably can't. Weird. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream. Alright. So, the big first thing is, like I said, they gave me a tooltip that when I moused over with my objective, but as far as I can see, it's not here anywhere. So that's my first feedback to the devs. You gave me a mouse over tooltip on how to do the thing. Put it up here. Either up here or over here. I don't really care where you put it, but somewhere on this screen, be like, hey, build your hall. Here's how you build your hall. And also, okay, so it is under residence. So I did just click here. I don't know that I would assume that that's residence. So yeah, so give me information. Now, the next thing is I have no idea what resources to care about. So we've got water. I assume the areas that are blue mean there's underground water. We've got wind, so it's telling me there's wind here. Mining is over there. Fertile air is over here. Drilling layer. So it does actually look like I'm probably in my best interest just building along here somewhere. Message from the community. You are now the governor of this little community. It's been nearly half a century since the first solar flare. In the initial moments of the catastrophe, we lost our entire technological infrastructure. our means of global sourcing, and almost everything that we could share as a civilization. The following years were humanity's darkest, having to wrestle with the constant impossibility and despair. From battles fought with sticks and stones to nuclear wars, we ended up destroying ourselves with little the sun had left for us, and civilization fell. Everyone here was born in this new world, and you have to be their leader. Our current flimsy shelter can't carry us far. We must rebuild everything from scratch. With the efforts of those who remain, we can establish a sustainable way of life. We need to discover our lost technology and explore our surroundings to create new possibilities. Most importantly, beyond merely surviving, we have to find a way of securing our next generation, by whose time the world may not be habitable anymore. We don't know how we can preserve life as we know it, but we can at least help build something that we may call home. You may start this with a tutorial or continue on your own. Let's start with the tutorial. Hey, the very last 13. Okay, so the first thing is I'm going to adjust that volume. That music is just too dang quiet. Also, game, let me go to settings even when you have a prompt on my screen. Never disable settings. You have successfully bullied me into your Discord. Thank you. And thank you, the very last Lardine, for hitting a 70 stream streak. So literally has caught every stream for the last 70 streams. That's well over 2 months, so thank you. That means a whole heck of a lot that you tuned in so regular. Chief, living so long as nomads, we feel ready now to build simple shacks at the least. If we want to settle down here, we're going to need more durable shelters, workplaces, and storage depots. And for that, we need to get our hands on a bunch of local resources. We can get started by collecting whatever's around the primitive structures made out of. Logs and stone will do to start. We can gather these by building a field camp close to the forest and rock formations. Okay, so I'm assuming this icon, I wish you would let me do stuff while paused. Let me pause this and still interact with the game, please. This is a city builder. It doesn't need to like pause, all the action ceases. I would like to be able to click on my menus and learn things without this crap. I mean, I could set the game to 1/10 speed, which is better than nothing. Placement. The grid. Why would you give me the placement information after I placed a building? Give me this when I go to put down the hall. The grid system, or the free system, can be used to place buildings on the map. You can switch between these two systems by pressing the tab key. For the grid system, the R key rotates the building 9 degrees. For the free system, Q and E will allow you to rotate continuously in different directions. You may place one of the selected structures holding the shift key. Okay, let me go in here. Settings, audio. So I'm assuming that means we don't have a road going to it. Even though we weirdly look like we do. Road. By pressing tab, you can switch between building and grid, linear, freeform. We're already aware of this. And hold shift. You can create path by holding down the shift key or clicking in the desired point in the terrain. So basically, you can make a curved path or a straight path. That requires lumber. I also wish... I see this icon here, and I can assume from past context that probably means road. Where do I learn that in the game, please? So this icon means nothing to me if I'm not already familiar with this UI. That I'd be like, why is there a horn squiggle here? So also gonna add in, you should have someplace either here, say like buildings that do not have a road access to it, or on here somewhere that I click and it's like, this building is not functioning because of lack of road. Or some other way to learn. It is early access, so like by all means I'm not unhappy about this. With the early access kind of thing, you just assume that you're going to have a lot of stuff that needs to be learned. Okay, so we do have a lot of formations. We're going to see where it makes sense. Over here is probably a bit closer. Those are different icons. Okay. So another thing. I could assume that this is stone, but again, nothing in the UI makes that obvious. Okay, so I can go up here, so I guess that's fine. But if I hadn't noticed that, I would have built down here and then later realized I didn't have what I needed. I know I'm being a bit critical on a lot of things. I'm just seeing a lot of things I'm like, oh, that's actually kind of annoying that you're just expected to just know these things. It's not necessarily good design. Let's see, the very last update says, Plague Stellaris, I just got done testing my Colossus on a primitive world. Maybe I'm not a good guy after all. So, yeah. Alright, so we have wood. So we can't fix the... Like, it's got the icon, but I'm not sure how to fix this. Because I try and build along here, it's red. And it's claiming I don't have enough lumber. Oh! Lumber is a separate resource from logs. I see. Understood. Yeah, so it seems like the intro to the game still needs a lot of work. Which again, early access, I understand. Quick tip, you can change the speed by using the above panel buttons or by pressing the keys 1, 2, 3. But what if I want that one? So space is pause, but what if I want the 0.1? Hey, Poity, it's good here. Thank you for dropping in. Give me 1 moment. Alright, so yeah, now things are going well. Okay, so I assume that symbol means I don't have workers. Ah, so here's another thing, and this is getting, like, I'm giving a lot of criticism that is all, like, when they add a tutorial. That very clearly, eventually this is going to need to have that. Where are my workers? Okay, it's up here. So we have subpar morale. We have 35 adults and 29 of them aren't working. Okay, so the 29 is how many are available but not actually doing anything yet. I understand. Yeah, so we're definitely in a point that this is an early access game that they have a tutorial, but like it is very not done. Alright, so another thing I'm noticing is this is one of the games where you have to have logistic routes. This person is very clearly banging on this rock and not hauling it back, and the numbers going up. I'm okay with that. Like, I think some games benefit a lot from having, like, the logistic routes and all that kind of stuff, and I think some games' logistic routes actually distract from what the game's good about. Processing and development. Off to a promising start, Chief. We may go on gathering nearby resources for a while. We should focus on producing more complex materials by processing the raw ones. Our settlement can develop as far as the limits of our knowledge and production. Build a lumber mill, produce lumber. Fair enough. Yep. So again, that's pulsing. That's fine. Now, next question, is this the kind of game that I can move buildings?
Take a sip. What's the worst that could happen?
Can I even delete buildings? Oh, it looks like they're building camps themselves. Okay. I noticed there wasn't a house under residence. You can use Alt key to turn on the building status, worker capacity, production alert icons on and off. Okay. I mean, I want them on. Why are you telling me this now? Production buildings are the most important structures of our city. You can choose the product you want currently building to create here. The building can only create one type of product at a time. You can activate the building by selecting the product type you want to provide. You can also access production information rates by hovering the mouse over the production icon. The amount of resources and the time required for production are calculated dynamically. The general efficiency value of the building's operating class affects the variables positively and negatively. In addition, the workplace value determines the speed of production according to the required amount of working people. In addition, these two variables are affected by technological developments, societal events, and environmental factors. Certain classes of society become operating labor for certain production buildings according to their abilities. Some buildings require cooperation from other classes besides the operating class. These are the instant notifications, the status selected structure. Okay, so this one actually is giving me the not connected to a road or workforce. Well, this one does not because it's a special building. Alright. Is this game worth $36? Ask me again when I've got more than like 10 minutes in it. Because the answer is I have absolutely no idea. I guess this path thing doesn't count actually as a road? Yeah, no, it's all good. Like, I wasn't trying to be sarcastic or anything like that. It's like, genuinely, I don't know. It's very definitely early access. I would say it's got a lot of little UI and early stuff. Like, early tutorial pain points. That there's stuff that's missing, like iconography with no explanation. You know, they ask you to do stuff, but they don't really tell you where. Like, because we had, like, the residence where it was, like, build a hall, and it gave us no indication of where that was. Now, granted, we clicked on it, and it instantly... Well, now the hall's not here anymore. What? I mean, I'm okay with the hall disappearing if it's you build one and it's done. But that's weird. Like I said, I'm not against that, but it almost feels like you don't need the UI to exist at all. You just... I don't know. Road. Every operation is harder to perform in a settlement without roads. Connecting all your buildings and settlements with a road network will convenience the workforce and the circulation of raw materials greatly. While not mandatory for other operations, road construction is a prerequisite for building infrastructure such as bridges and tunnels. Build a road between the lumber mill and the main hall. Okay. Is it materials? Has an obstacle. Source of life. People are the most significant resource in our settlement. We must respond to a wide range of demands, from basic to costly. Let's see. We have to set up a self-sufficient system to meet our basic requirements. We can start by constructing a well to meet our need for clean water. Build a well. Hint, primitive wells will help meet our clean water need. However, they can be affected by seasonal changes, and some might even run completely dry or freeze over. You can view the water layer by placing a well, or from the construction menu to determine water-rich areas. So clicking on the exclamation mark that pulses. Strangers? Okay. The more settlement grows, the more attention we'll get from passers-by. And the more people will be willing to join us, both more frequently and in larger groups. This group of waters, each less fortunate than us, awaits permission to join our ranks. Sure, 2 extra workers. So that's the means we get people. So it's not we give birth to people, as far as I can tell. It's that what ends up happening is we just gradually get more. Okay. So I do have 2 water sources over here we can tap. So let's go with that. I don't know with this if it's more important that I go to places that have more water resources or if there are richer water resources or how any of that works. Oh, that's an obstacle. That's fine. We'll figure it out when we get there. Reminds you of Banished? Yeah. So it's like Banished, but a much nicer looking aesthetically. But kind of looking at it as well, it is post-apocalyptic. The background they've given is that there was a large solar flare, completely decimated all of our electronics and circuitry, which is a theoretically possible thing, but not really practically possible. Like key parts of our infrastructure, such as nuclear power plants and all that, are built in what's referred to as a Faraday cage. And if there was such a magnetic force to knock those out, we don't need to worry about the power knockout because we wouldn't be around to talk about it. And then there's a lot of systems like power lines and that wouldn't fry due to electromagnetic blast. So it would be damaging, but not the doomsday scenario that people tend to want to think it is. It would be bad. Like you'd have a bunch of cars and all that would get fried, but even them, it wouldn't necessarily just fry the circuitry or anything like that. Now that we have access to water, like the amount of electromagnetic force would be astronomical required to have that kind of a widespread impact. So it's more science fiction than science fact. But the point is, in this world, they did have it where their entire electrical everything got wrecked, which if that did happen, you would have a collapse of society because of inability to transport goods and strategic resources. So even if you had, like, you were living in the farmland area where you have all the food, you wouldn't have the gas or oil or metals or anything to maintain your equipment, so you'd be desperate for that. And then you'd have places that are like all those other resources, but not the food, and they would be desperate and all that. Yeah, most of all our satellites would get fried, making them uncontrollable, making space inaccessible for centuries. That I would believe. Like that, like the equipment in space would be far more susceptible. A lot of that has also been hardened over the years, but hardened isn't the right word. But it'd still be really bad. A lot of our, especially our older stuff, would not go well. When the grid hose go down, Lord let it. Gross Ray. Yeah, when the grid goes down. Well, yeah, that's the whole thing. Like, it would be a real big humanitarian crisis. And then in this world, that led to war, which led to effectively wiping out civilization as we knew it. Now that we have access to water, we are only one step in short of calling this place home. Life without worry of hunger will turn us into a real society. Although we don't yet have the resources for hunting, farming, or animal husbandry, our experience in staying alive by living off the land may come in handy. Lots of easily found edible mushrooms are scattered around. We should build a gathering camp to start stockpiling raw food. I'm sorry, but I really wish I could access these things. So, okay. So we've got mushrooms, we've got whatever the red stuff is. We got fish. Okay. So if I place it over here, I can get both the things of mushrooms. Oh no, here's the sweet spot. Again, I don't know how much the commute's gonna matter, but that spot right there, get a little bit of everything. So will that connect automatically, or do I have to connect that last inch? It looks like it's connected automatically. Let's see, Melmer says, even in terms of recent year solar flares, thinking about the big one that didn't go in the direction of Earth at the time, but got close enough to get people talking about hardening electronic grids and more redundancy systems. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Like, there would be damage. It would be incredibly inconvenient. You'd have satellites that would go down and all that, but there's a lot of stuff is presented as like, and that was the day the grid went down. Yeah, I caught that as a saying that well. Melmer said, just the thought though, because you said astronomical, and I mean solar flares are astronomical. You are correct. The point being, we would have to take a level of a solar flare, of which even our own star would be incapable of producing, outside of, exploding or something, which is not something we need to worry about for many, 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 many thousands of generations. And honestly, we have much bigger concerns that we'd have to deal with from that end before, we don't even know if our star would be one that goes supernova or if it's one that just kind of collapses in on itself. It will go red giant, though, and that's bad for us. That takes the Goldilocks zone we exist in and makes it the I'm inside the star zone. But that is, again, hundreds of thousands and millions of years down the road. Actually, probably like hundreds of millions of years. It's not something we got to worry about right now. We have far more immediate concerns just with our daily lives. Let's see. The time has come to cook proper meals. People eating whatever they have on their plates doesn't mean they're happy with it. When there's nothing to eat, they will get demoralized, sick, and may even fall into the jaws of death. From now on, food needs to be kept fresh and distributed while it's hot. More like 2 billion years. Yeah, that's the whole thing. It's like, it's so far down the road. Like, there's 1,000 more immediate concerns that need to be dealt with. For a start, a bowl of soup will do as long as everyone has their share and they don't have to worry about hunger anymore. So we need to build a soup kitchen. We need to research basic construction. So I assume it's going to tell me how to research, right? It blinked. Okay. Oh, I don't, build a building or anything. We just go research. I'm okay with that. Usually that's one of the balance decisions these games have, is you have to, have dedicated workers for research. And, whatever. Alright, so we're gonna get electricity pretty early. That's why I can't build that building. Development completed. Stockpile, soup kitchen, simple meal. Okay, quick tip, I can't see it. You can manage the day-night cycle from the time indicator on the map UI. From the time indicator on the map UI. Why can I not look at the... Okay, one at a time. Storm. Stormy winds bring heavy rainfall to replenish groundwater resources and fauna. But they also make life difficult. Windmills will get slightly more efficient, plus 25 efficiency. Muddy terrain presents challenges, minus 20 workforce from hunters and gatherings. Sailing is impossible in this weather. Minus 200 workforce for offshore and fishermen. I understand. Again, let me interrogate your game. This isn't some RTS I need to split second reaction. Let me, mouse over things and read your stuff with the game paused. So we were looking at production, the soup kitchen. All right. Okay. But yeah, so very genuinely, the doomsday scenario of the electromagnetic wave is kind of like the doomsday scenario of supposedly Y2K, all of the nukes were going to launch and kill us all. It is no, they're not. More realistically, a bunch of websites and stuff like that would break, and some of those would be potentially bad. Do you not have a workforce? Oh. Mushroom soup, sure. Alright, so we're making our simple meals. I actually kind of like that we don't seem to be responsible for building houses. It's kind of an interesting twist that like the people just build their camps around here themselves. I've seen a few games do that kind of mechanic. I kind of also hope, I haven't noticed it yet, I kind of hope where places I don't have roads for, I hope they do the thing where they trample the grass slowly so you can see the paths the AI is trying to take on its own. And then you can just like make the road there and be like, all right, it's traveled enough, let's do it. We must closely monitor the community situation needs, morale levels, and all related factors. We must try to reach the best possible outcomes in our affairs and adapt according to uncertainties in order to maintain a healthy and content society with what we have. In badly managed community, unrest, disease, and deaths. And disintegration? Disintegration? Will quickly take hold. I mean, I guess the society disintegrating? I'm hoping it's not a concern my citizens disintegrate. I mean, they did allude that nuclear arms were used after the end, but that's more radiation poisoning than disintegration and the after effects. Explore population management. Oh, you want me to click on it? Okay. Population management. Here, you can view the overall status. So one thing I would also give credit, so like the fully written out thing here is fine, but I have seen a lot of places where you could show, don't tell kind of thing. So like, for example, with the soup kitchen, instead of being like, here's where this source is, here's where this is, here's where this is, have me assign one worker and go, oh, it's at 25% production, and then have me assign the rest of the workers, like, it's at 100. So, show, don't tell. That would save you a lot of giant walls of text. And also make it easier for people to retain what it actually does by actually working with it. So you can be like, hey, this spot is the spot where you choose your recipe. Do that now. Cool, you've clicked on that. Here's where you set your employees. Hey! Versus the wall of text. Because if you looked at the click to continue here, we're reading like 20 paragraphs. I mean, that's exactly like 15 paragraphs each one of these, and the retention of that's going to be really terrible. But just a comment. I do like the stylizing of this, but this could be handled in a different way that would be a little bit more effective. Here would be the overall stat of the community detail, in most important element of the management of the settlement and its people. Try to meet all of their needs and keep the variables such as morale and efficiency as high as possible. Meet the daily supply distribution needs according to your settlement's production capabilities in a sustainable manner. 90% of this doesn't matter. Like, this whole area here, the second half paragraph, that's fluff. The most important element of management in the settlement is its people. You could probably get rid of that for fluff. You've already told me that twice. The society who needs are met breeds high motivation, good health, and uninterrupted work. Get rid of, like, you could just say, you're literally going into efficiency up there. Like, this whole thing, 2 sentences. Our society consists of 3 basic classes. Members of each class must work as a pioneer in their respective fields, but production buildings may need multiple classes to work simultaneously according to the level of development. You can cut that down to 2 sentences. Population, you can follow the population number and distribution class here. Only adults can be recruited on the workforce. Children, sick, retirees cannot work, but they can still consume these. That one's good. This is a nice, concise one. You've covered only stuff that actually matters for gameplay mechanics. You can manage the basic needs of societal classes from here. Supplies for needs such as food, water, clothing, and tools are determined from the daily average consumption per person. Here you can manage the rate at which the supplies are distributed to each class and the view of the successful distribution rate and other factors. You can view the access rate for housing and services here. You will get a satisfaction result according to the rate at which you meet the society's need, which will form the basis of the morale value here. You need a paragraph spacing there and there. Like, for some reason, these feel AI written. No, they're not AI written. These are more a developer wrote these. But yeah, no, that's actually I was griping earlier that there are a lot of people being like, not this game, but griping about it's like these people are using generative AI. It's like, but they're not. It's like I do actually have a problem that like generative AI is being used for harm, but there are a lot of people who are just using tools like built into Adobe, be like, hey, colorize this for me. And they go, I see the artifact. You see their artifact? That means it's AI. It's like, no, that's a side effect of colorizing, which you can argue is kind of an AI process, but it's not that harmful kind of supportive kind. Versus when you see a person and they have like their hand and like two of their fingers mesh into one, like, okay, that's clearly AI. Or just like a really bad system. The workforce and efficiency of each societal class are the two most important indicators of the shape of life in their settlement. Workforce indicates how much and how long your working classes will operate. It is very important to manage the variable according to the current condition needs while balancing the flow and production life. Long working hours can cause low morale, and even if accounted for, remember, exhaustion can lead to sickness and increase the workforce accidents. Efficiency is calculated based on the morale of the community and is the base of production rate calculations for the operating class in production of the buildings. It is affected by the many external factors alongside of the rate of which I don't remember any of what I've just read. There's too much here. It is fine to have your systems this complicated. This is a wall of text. That's what this screen is. It's a wall of text, and the only things that my eyes catch is workforce, efficiency, workforce, morale, efficiency, morale. So I know these are all associated, but you got to show me, don't tell me. This is too much to just read and actually take in and have meaning. So like the whole thing, I could look at the one prompt that was good here is the one that covered this. It said, hey, adults can work, children cannot, sick cannot. That's what it told me. All I learned from the walls of text caused some low morale. Fact. Considering how in the hype cycle AI is pretty much means any algorithm sells for itself. Well, yeah, that's the other problem you're running into is people are using machine learning AI systems and algorithms interchangeably. They are distinct different things, but outside of people who know those systems, like they might as well all be Pandora boxes to people who aren't knowledgeable about them, which is fine, but there are different problems. It also annoys me, like, people be like, this text, not talking here, but it's like, this game looks like it was made with this, AI thing. And I am down for when, a game goes, hey, we're going to use NFTs. Be like, no. You said you're going to use NFTs. The answer is no. And I'm down for when a game says, this is going to be a generative AI produced game or whatever. No. No. Unless they go through and show your sources and it's all ethical and whatever in that stance. But like the open accusations, a lot of them are misplaced. Hold people accountable for the things they've actually done, not the things they haven't actually, things you suspect them of doing. At last, our settlement resembles a home. Everyone has a job. That's not true. We very distinctly have like 29 people who don't have jobs. That's fine. Something to offer our society. We are producing food, water, construction materials. Before ramping up, we need some basic rules and a sense of order. Proportions represent how much of a consumable. Okay, yeah, that's correct. As consumable per. I was reading proportions, expecting to be like laws or something, and that is like, do you mean propositions? Nah, proportions. Consumable is used by per person. That's on me. In the day. We must respond to every need, but decisions about each proportion should be made according to our resource and productivity capacity. Basically, don't feed them more than you have. The general level of morale will be generated by what gets distributed, at what rate, and how successfully. Morale directly influences the production performance of our settlement. Also, it can affect our people's reactions to unexpected events positively or negatively. Set the ration distribution to regular distribution rations successfully for 2 days. So my eyes drawn here. Okay, so it's here. Okay. All right. Yeah, so, and again, not bad-mouthing the game. This is early access. It has a tutorial which puts it ahead of a lot of other early access. That winter came at us fast. Okay, that's fine. We're here now. Winter. Wild mushrooms do not grow in winter. Mushroom gathering has halted. Land cannot be cultivated in this season. Farms cannot produce. This season negatively affects public health. -20 health. So basically, it's the classic for this genre, which is spring, summer, fall, you gather your materials. Winter, buckle down and hope for the best. A place to track everything about your settlement and your people with the overview panel. The health is the subject that we should pay the most attention to. It should be our priority to find a solution for our current conditions, examine the factors affecting public health, and take decisive action. Hint: there are many factors that affect people's health. Nutrition and water is most important of these. No one can withstand more than 3 days without water. You need to produce solutions against many variables. You're literally just telling me that it's like, things will go bad. Fix them. Cool. Thanks. Screen. You told me to click here. No, you didn't give me anything. All right. So we've got the winter effect. So this is just kind of a nice thing that gives me a summary of what's going on. So we're producing 200 kilowatts of power. I assume that's from our main building, I guess. Oh, they actually tell me like all the renewable resources nearby and how much I'm exploiting them. Cool. And it's saying we need a cemetery and all that kind of stuff. Oh, I like this. I like that they have all of this information available. A member says, it's generally accepted technical definition of when an IT application qualifies as AI, though. I mean, I'm genuinely curious. As a software engineer who has been working with predictive algorithms, big data, machine learning, language models, etc. for 10 years, it's never occurred to me that there's an obvious way to draw a line. I would say there is not an obvious line, because you have machine learning uses machine learning, frameworks and architect and all that. It's very specific what machine learning is. It's data crunching. And then an algorithm is just saying, like, weights for different things and then prioritization based on those weights. The place where AI steps in, which there is things like generative AI is a specific technology, where it does consume stuff and then, create things based on that. That is a thing, but, like, the broad AI term is one of those terms that it's like system. It doesn't mean anything within its own. Versus you have, like, artificial intelligence in the generative AI being a technology. You have artificial intelligence as in pathfinding in games, which can, is an algorithm or algorithm strategy applied to a game mechanic. But, that it will, the game will make determinations on what to do based on that. But, like, it is a blurry line that some of them have good definitions, and a lot of them don't. Like I said, it's a problem that they're used interchangeably, which makes it so it's hard to know which does and doesn't qualify. We're finally secure and self-sufficient and have left our temporary campsite behind for good. From now on, you must devise production plans according to the needs of the people and the settlement. You can set your course by exploring farther developments. Remember, we may have no time. We know what to expect, but we can't be sure when or how. Hint, in time you'll be able to produce higher grade goods like clothes, drinks, and paper. Before then, you will have to train craftsmen to take part in these production projects. You can start training people by researching the technical boot camp. So the tutorial's done. But yeah, I know a lot of stuff when it comes to like artificial technology, systems, all that kind of stuff. We have entered the Iron Age. Building resources are available, so you can make the tavern, the forge, the smith, and then we get a bunch of whole different materials. So I'm assuming we want this right away. So by attaching those, does that just work? Wait, are these bow stock? Okay, they're not. So basically, you call an NPCs in a game AI from the AI Doomcryer's definition. So the NPCs in your game are run by AI. They in themselves are not AI, but there is an AI that decides how they walk around, you know, whatever. They do have like scripted language, which calling that an AI is fuzzier, but you know, how they react to the player, all these kind of things, that is not enough resources. Well, that's not great. My impression of what so-called generative AI implements is based on machine learning generated models. Are there some or a lot more advanced than that? So they are using a lot of what would be like machine learning models and whatnot. You're not wrong. Kind of the difference, though, boils down to machine learning is usually more just predictive. That when we look at like machine learning as a technology with itself, you say, you know, here's my inputs on my data, like here's like how to interpret and whatnot based on the strategy I'm using for machine learning, and that I want it to give me an output of, you know, effectively predicting what you would and wouldn't want kind of stuff. Whereas the AI and generative AI is trying to create a new thing. Now, behind the hoods, is it machine learning? Yeah, on the underneath it would be machine learning, but it is arguably an extra thing happening on top of that. So like ChatGPT being generative AI, so yeah, it is sampling a bunch of data, doing a whole bunch of polishing, you know, figuring out a whole lot of that, and then going, okay, here's what I can mishmash that I think is in line with what of it. But it's like creating that paragraph and like creating an artifact to be consumed as content within itself is the generative AI part of it. But yeah, that's one of the reasons they do blur a lot of lines between it under the hood and whatnot. Whereas, like I said, most machine learning is just, okay, you know, spit this out, put it on the page. What should I show the user? Like recommended items, like that kind of stuff. That's because of the gray area, and I don't know what the point is with AI Doomcryers, but I do think it should let this do a bit longer. Well, the problem is an AI like, oh no, the robots are going to take over the world and that garbage. The problem is people are using AI systems to just straight up replace people. And then even worse on top of that, and they're doing so by grabbing their material, you know, mishmashing it together and spitting it back out. Effectively kind of, depending on how you approach copyright law and all that, they're basically stealing materials from other people to replace those people with those materials. Is the big problem right now. But AI as like, oh no, the Terminators and all that, that's not a thing. It's going to be way, way, way more boring the way AI is going to hurt our society. It'll just be jobs being replaced. It won't be the robots uprising and dropping nukes on us or something like that. It'll be just straight up economic strife problems. Way less fun or exciting. Our unstable living standards are about to consume us. We should strive to keep an eye on people's morale. If we don't maintain balance, we can have nothing but watch our homes disintegrate. Do something to improve morale. We could do better. Increase the class. It doesn't tell me. It says few days, but it doesn't. Where was our morale again? Where's just morale? Okay, so I have 5 days. Again, so that thing there, this thing here, the refreshment effect. Oh, okay, so that's this. Where I took that quest. Okay, there, it's down here. Never mind. We do have it. But what I do need is, how long do I actually have to do this? Like, it says a couple of days. Give me a definitive. You have 3 days, 5 days. I don't care what the time span is. But I'm missing important information. True, but the flamethrower cyber dog thing. Well, yeah, no, there's definitely people like, we are using autonomous stuff and weaponizing it, and that's a problem. But that's more making things that really do need to have a human making the decisions behind it for a whole bunch of moral and ethical concerns, and, you know, having nuance. But that's going to still be limited in scope. Not that it makes it okay, but it won't be a ending world kind of problem. Like, it'll be a problem that should be addressed. But we're talking, like, on the scope of, like, Terminator, like, where people are like, you know, the Doomsday people being like, oh no, like, the robots are going to realize that we're the real enemy, and yet I don't know what this... You give me an exclamation mark, I don't know what it means. What does the exclamation mark mean? You don't do it in other buildings. It's just the tense. All is as it should be. Well done, Chief. Don't hesitate to do whatever you can to keep morale up. Cool. So we got a small success, which gave us an extra morale boost. Alright, so gathering well, we have tier tech 2, we have soup kitchen. Alright, so research was here. Does this cost me anything? Just time? Can I queue up multiple of these? Okay. The research tree feels a little weak in this one. Melmer says, I'd say machine learning is bias detection mostly, or if you will, narrowing or reduction of a very big data set into a smaller black box like hyperdimensional tension. Tension that is recognizing whatever bias is detected in the training without having to match up against the entire data set at every check or test, including models of that. Yeah, no, I'd agree. That's mostly machine learning is looking for patterns. Like machine learning will not create new patterns. It will take existing patterns and present them, kind of thing. I don't know how many of these I need. What is your... How many people do you carry? Why would you not tell... 10 people. Okay, so that means I need 4. And do they all need road access? I can make a block of 4. And they should all be able to reach. Now, the question is, if I do this, will the back 2 also be counted? Like, if I make them as a grid, does it let it go, like, flow through? I don't suspect it does. Projected renewal rate of resources the next spring based on precipitation. Okay, so next spring we're expecting an extreme drought. I don't like the sound of that. Oh yeah, no, under the hood. Yeah, so it doesn't connect them. Under the hood, when you're looking at game design AI, and or not AI, algorithms development strategies and all that, like, the games under the hood are doing really advanced stuff. Like, even if you just look at pathfinding, that has been one of the banes of development forever. That very genuinely, it's a very difficult problem to tackle, which is why some games the pathfinding is so horrifically bad. Okay, it won't show me the circles of what we're already exploiting. Alright, so leave that alone. And we'll go here. So community needs hunting. We'll go with hunting. Required metalworking. If this is a requirement for that, why are they presented in the way they are? Yeah, so I will say the research and development part of the game feels like it's one of the places you're not Strider. Very genuinely, I know a lot of people get doom and gloom about AI and all that. That's not the thing. Like, yes, there's the Turing test where you can't. The entire idea is you're more likely to mistake an actual person for a computer as you are a computer for a person. And when it passes the Turing test when it's about half and half. Because for all intents and purposes, it means your chance of getting it right are low enough that you don't need to worry. But, like, there's that whole thing. Someone wants to speak to you. I can't see it. Get out of my way. Greetings, Chief. We are representatives from a small community. Our expeditions led us to your settlement, and we are delighted to see such advanced community here. We would like to barter with you, and in turn, this acquaintance into a trade partnership. In these challenging times, every link between those who have goods to spare is a boon. What do you say? I would be happy to. Yeah, so food is definitely not in a good place. Production. So we have a forge and a smith. So these are highlighting. It doesn't let me know, because a lot of games when you build like undesirable businesses, or undesirable buildings near residents, there's a negative. It could be to their health, it could be to the desirability of the land. Like, it all depends on the individual game. Mel, if I could have you compress those thoughts, like, they're getting pretty big paragraphs and whatnot. But no, like, the whole point is AI as a term is going to be vague. Most terms move to be more vague than meaningful, unfortunately. Because, you know, it gets picked up by people who aren't in whatever industry is the respective industry and knowledgeable about it. And as a result, the terms become muddied and less specific and all that. Outside of, again, when you're talking, like, very specific terms, like generative AI being a specific slice of that, or, you know, machine learning. Even machine learning is getting more generalized as a term into stuff that it isn't nowadays. But even then, like, again, like the slice of technology, but the broader tech always gets so muddied, it's hard to distinguish one from the other. You can give it, let's see, Chief, now that we can process metals, you can give us the means to make tools of our own, and you can see in our daily tasks, we can work without tools too, but this will tire us physically and mentally, and more often we have to work without tools, the more likely we are to make mistakes that cause accidents. Cool. Let's see, Enoch says, all we have today is the lowest level of AIs, which are ANIs, artificial narrow intelligence, designed for a specific task and a narrow set of tasks, trained models. Those mostly are mostly LLMs, large language models designed to understand and generate human-like language. Yep. So make that. Get you assigned. Here can play about lack of resources. So does that mean you're now... Okay, so now I have to assign people to this. Cool. So food is not in a good place. What is happening? Oh, you know what? Right, because I don't have the tech for the other stuff. I'm gonna want to move this later, but what I'm trying to do is effectively block this off. To effectively give ourselves like a city block here. Next would be artificial general intelligence, that one would have the ability to understand, learn, apply knowledge across a wide range of tasks and all that stuff. We are rapidly evolving from a small camp into a proper village. People are the cornerstone of the fast-growing, stable community like ours. Their needs and their well-beings should be prioritized above all else. Let's try to raise morale of the workers above a certain threshold. You don't tell me what saying understood even does. Needs to be above 70. A group of travelers, sure.
Thank you Sleepy Night 98 for subscribing for 1 month.
Thank you Sleepy Night for the, let's see, the Prime Gaming sub. I really do appreciate that. You could use that anywhere on the internet, or anyone on Twitch, and use it here, so that does mean a heck of a lot. So thank you so much for that. I do hope you enjoy your advertisement-free viewing, as well as access to the emotes. So thank you again for that. We can go ahead and get you all assigned. Let's see. I'm assuming those are pretty much covered by the examples of these going beyond the models. Yeah, but it doesn't really matter if AI is narrow or not. I would argue that doesn't matter how complex the AI brain is, human bird bee. Still intelligent the same way. So I wouldn't argue that modern AI is even an intelligence. It is effectively a fancy way of handling algorithms. It doesn't replace cognitive thought in any way. It's just a computer weighing some things and then like spitting out a result. Chief of the Community Center made up of just a few tents doesn't feel very secure. We need something build something with our resources, crafting capabilities that won't topple in a gust of wind. Let's assign resources and take steps to strengthen our roofs. The main hall's it's okay. So what's us to upgrade this? These aren't what I'm looking for. Those are actions. Okay. We started a new era. Oh, okay. It just automatically did it. I was like, I don't see the assignment. The downside is it seems like the new hall upgrading has shut down my power. Yeah, no, I know you're saying it to yourself. How's the game so far? It's definitely... So it's got a lot of good stuff going, but it also has a bunch of stuff that's like, okay, the tutorial's a pretty big mixed bag. It's got some UI issues and all that. But yeah. So it's like, would I say it's like, oh yeah, you should definitely buy it and play it immediately? I don't know I would go with that. They're definitely feeling like there's a lot of stuff that needs a little spit polish, as it were. I've been working big teams implementing systems that actually replicated some of what we think of cognitive thoughts from neurology, but then again, we never call it AI, or at least working on it, so there's that. Yeah, well, I mean, we have things that are trying to mime a bunch of that stuff. But yeah. Let's see. In trading, assets that offer access, so we could trade. So I assume, so that's my stuff that we'll be willing to trade our individual tool for leather later. I mean, I don't need those things right now, so I guess you just stand there? The Discord is very helpful, but speaking directly to the dev, and it's very responsive to give details and stuff in progress. Nice. Yeah, no, like, it's very clear there's a lot of thought that is very competent approach to this. I would say, the positive would say, like, the game is gorgeous. It does seem to have some decent systems going into it and everything. It's got a really good start and a bunch of that stuff. And for, like, early access, I'd say it's definitely in a good place. Now, the negatives I'd say of going on is the tutorial falls very much into the trap of wall of text. They break it up into multiple separate screens, but it is just, here's 3 paragraphs, you click the thing, here's 3 paragraphs, you click the thing, here's 3 paragraphs, you click the thing, you hear the 3 paragraphs. And it very much falls in a rough spot there. And I've run into weird stuff where, like, the order it's telling me things, like, I'll do something and then it'll give me the tutorial to do it. And then they'll have like iconography that it was mostly this building here. It was reporting that it didn't have a road, and you click on, you couldn't see what it was and whatnot. But that's mostly like little. I wouldn't even say like it needs better like overall UX. There's just a couple little stuff, and I would take them all as just it's early access. Like none of them are things you're like, oh man, it's so bad or anything like that. It's like, oh okay, like the tutorial needs just a little polish and all that. Which early access, that's honestly a lot of early access games are like tutorials like meh, and you just got to figure it out. So at least it's not that bad. But yeah, there is some pain points I've been noticing there. Alright, so I'm going to overbuild my number of houses. I don't think there's a consequence for doing so. There's nothing been led to believe that there's like some kind of upkeep cost or whatever. I mean, I do assume that they've got like disasters and that can happen. The more buildings you have that can be broken, the more buildings that will be broken. So there's probably that kind of thing going on. Alright, so we don't need more production here. We already have the stockpile. Trying to see if there's an easy way. Yeah, so we're consuming everything we're producing, consuming everything we're producing. Okay, so we need to produce more water. That's what I was kind of figuring was going to happen. So let's go here. Tap that one here. Should have moved that over by 1. So I'll deal with that when we get there. Okay. Yeah, so the game just needs a little polish, but like I said, that's pretty typical of early access. The big thing is that games do that and that they have like a good foundation to be worth building upon. And I would say so far from what I've seen that the game has a good basis to be built upon. Let's see, we're working long hours in the scorching weather without proper water supply. At this rate, we'll die of exhaustion if we don't lose our minds first. Does it sound like a sensible way to live, Chief? If you think you can get away with abusing us like this, you're wrong. Increase water distribution, decrease the working hours, do whatever you can to ease people's troubles. I can decrease their workflow. On the edge. There's morale. Okay. So reduce their total amount of time working. Because it's already working on fixing the water issue as is. Consumption of stone is up to 183 stone per day. What the am I using the stone for? Does that include our buildings? Is that what I'm understanding? All of these buildings are being considered in the stone consumption? I'm sure... Yeah, it's construction. It's weird that would consider construction in the daily cost. I'm fine with it. It's just not what you normally see in a game. Oh yeah, and then we have the research. Yeah, the research is one that definitely needs to be fleshed out more. Like, I think the tiers and all that is fine, but like the entire presentation of research and like, you know, when you finish a research, having some type of notification saying, hey, queue up the next one, or allowing us to queue it up or something there would be really nice to have. Workers are about to revolt because they're forced to work overtime without water in the summer heat. Well, we should have plenty of water now. That should go away. Okay, so children are born in your colony or city or whatever. Gotcha. I was curious about that with the immigration way set up to it. I felt like you'd just get new people periodically. Cool, so we have more food options. Let's drop the time back to normal. Oh, I see. That'll help. How is food going now? We are consuming food at a faster rate than we've got. That's the soup kitchen. No, that's right. Okay. So we can go here in resources, build a second soup kitchen, and we'll make it produce something else. Let's see, we'll tell that. Did it work fast to get home earlier? Okay, I assume you're talking about the workers in the game? Not just typical city builder things, like figuring this out and navigating it. It's not a problem. Like, that's the thing when you're playing the game for the first time, you run into a bunch of pain points there. Alright, so let's move your work schedule back up to the baseline normal. So we have low morale, minus 30 because we're on edge, and then minus 8 because of the workforce thing. We could turn up the tool distribution, which should help a little bit. Oh, and we finished our research. Like, that's the whole thing, is I keep not having our research going. Because there's not an easy way to, like, spot on the UI that, like, research the products. Like, maybe if this had, like, the timer or something, like, it's just say, you know, little fold out here, it's like, you're researching whatever. Oh, I guess it does fill up. But, I don't know, that seems to be the thing, is there's a lot of UI elements that, you know, they just need to be added. Quality of life stuff. Then have 2 shifts, one before noon, one afternoon? That's not the way this game works. That's honestly not the way most of these games work. A lot of these games are just day and night. Because honestly, like, if you're going back to a point where you don't have, like, streetlights and that kind of stuff, or reliable things like that, very genuinely, when the sun goes down, work stops, is the way it actually works. Because often it's counterproductive to have you out running around in the dark, unable to see or do what you need. Okay, so we can make poached fish. We can make fried meat. So we'll do the fried meat, because that doesn't increase our water needs. Alright, we got the tavern. It also seems like there's no real cost to the research, other than just a little bit of time. We need better shelters. Every one of us needs a proper place to live. We have food and water, but sleeping at whatever nooks we find each other at night doesn't help prepare us for the next day's labor. We need shelters. We literally... I already have, like, game. I have 8 shelters. They handle 10 people each. I have enough housing for 80 people. There are like 40 of you. What is your... Okay, I'll build more. Like I said, it doesn't seem like there's much of a consequence, and I have no shortage of the supplies that go to building these, really, so... Okay. You want me to build more, it's fine, I'll need them eventually. Yeah, but you're trying to apply things that might be real-world logic to video games, and that means you've already lost the entire situation, because video games and reality are not one and the same, nor should they be, and they're not even remotely in that area. Oh, we already chopped down all of the trees here, didn't we? Yeah, so you're gonna run out of resources pretty soon, and we'll need to potentially mess with this. This turns the building on and off, and that destroys it. Okay. So yeah, so it looks like we'll have to go farther and farther and farther into the outskirts to get wood. That, like, when this runs out of wood, we'll build a new one to, like, tear down wood farther away, that kind of thing. Oh, right. Cool. And I'm going to immediately turn those off. You can't. Weird. That's fine. I was going to research the power grid next. So we'll just do that. Residents, resources. So we have the tavern there. So I'm curious, like, if we'll hit a point that the rock is just gone and we'll have to spread out more, and then there'll be some type of, like, renewable thing. So the good news is, I do have a lot of food set aside. So we're doing solidly there. So wood is fine, stone is fine, iron we could actually use more, that's fine. Meat would be good to have a little bit more, we're really good on soup. We are burning more lumber than we're making. So once we get more employees, it might be worth our while to make more stuff there. Yeah, so like that research finished, didn't even notice. Because it's just not super obvious. Wait, did it finish? Did I start it? I did not start it. Ah, it does take resources. Okay. It's just not super obvious. So I can probably go to the tool worker. Tone down the number of people making tools for a moment. Let the iron ingots get caught up. You bought SnowRunner after watching on stream? Yep. There's a reason why, like, they didn't mark it with me, but there is a reason why you will see game devs market through streamers. It is a very effective way of getting more sales. Power consumption is getting bad, but this should allow us to start the research for the windmill, so we can get the windmills built. But yeah, no, it's absolutely a thing. Why are you so loud? Oh. You let me build the tavern even though I can't make any of those things I need for the tavern? Okay. You had it streamed about a year ago, and you reminded me of how fun it seemed. Yeah, see it streamed? Yeah. Well, yeah, no, it's absolutely, like, things like Timberborn, like, that's been around for a while now with all of its updates and all that. Like, it's still early access, but, you know, it's been around a while. But, like, each time they do an update, they, you know, usually will reach out to content creators to stream their game and all that. And it every single time, you know, helps them get more sales. So here's the question. Does this require road access? I'm not going to take a chance because we're going to leave that there. Oh, I didn't look. Does it tell me how much power you make? Oh, right. Wait. Don't do that there. Forgot. Wind is an actual, thing on the map. Okay, so build 2 of those and see what happens. How's this game? It's pretty decent so far. It definitely has early access pains. So we're gonna get a bunch of our stuff renewed. 0 people died from disaster and all that. New people joined us, and we had 12 births. Cool. But yeah, so it's definitely got some like UI pain points. Which just, it's early access stuff, like, the tutorial is kind of not in the best spot right now, which is fine. It's very wall of texty, but that's fine. Okay. Let's see, produce decent power. Hi. Do you want to live in this place?
Yeah. Why not?
I mean, basically like colonial, medieval-ish times.
Yeah, it looks good.
I don't think you do want to live here.
You don't know.
Yeah, no, it's
I
been
get a nice little wooden house. My objectives would be successfully completed.
I mean, consider it a shack.
Got like tarps on it.
Yeah, not.
There's
So-
windmills. It's pretty sweet. Hi, Neonic. Aw,
Okay, so we've got more enough housing for everyone.
Yay,
Why is the tavern so loud?
Why is the tavern so loud?
I don't know. Like, you click, I just like, it's practically people like yelling in your ear. You're like, why are you so much louder than the entire rest of the game?
Oh. Hi, Burning Sun. In the tavern, is there like a ye olden bard going boots and pits and boots and pits and boots and pits?
No.
No!
It doesn't seem to respect your volume settings is what's going on.
Hi, Pointy!
So you turn down the volume in the rest of the game and the tavern's like, what if I didn't care?
What if there's a bard going, "Your boots and pants, your boots and pants, your boots and pants, aha. Dragon was slain with the boots and pants.
I would question a lot of things if any of that was what was going on. Is there another place we can get the mushy mush?
Dragon was slain on our houses were made, and then we had windmills. Our objectives complete, and our houses are neat. But Rual thinks they're the pills.
Alright, so I'm just increasing the production because we keep running out of mushrooms. I'm like, whatever. Oh, right, let's find another iron resource as well. There's gotta be iron around here somewhere. This isn't the right... It's a field camp. Field camp's what I want. Looking for another source of iron. So I can increase our production. That'll work. Okay. So we got a bunch of extra buildings that I can't quite manage. Storm. Okay, so basically our workforce for hunter-gatherers are penalized, our fishing people are penalized, but we make more power. That's fine. Alright, so we got all this going. You need workers. Go chop trees. We have more than enough wood, but I'm just kind of going, eh. Excuse you? Hey! Don't burn down my buildings. First loss, a sad day for us all, Chiefs. We're no strangers to death, but this is the first time we've encountered it since we settled here, and it hurts even more. Lewis Hopkins died to catastrophe. Note there are many factors that affect people's health, nutrition, and the water is the most important things of these produce solutions against most of the variables, yada yada yada. Basically, they were inside the building and it got struck by lightning. I feel it's not my fault. I'm just going to go on the record and say I don't think it's my fault. So I mentioned something about a graveyard earlier, but we've not had the option or anything. That said, I'm going to go with the assumption that we don't have to worry about it because, like, they stopped existing when lightning struck and made them not alive. It was the definitive moment that, that stopped being an immediate concern. Okay. Alright, so we've gone and got them all replaced. And so food production is back online. And we are making way, way more food. So it implied that I had to worry about food going bad, but doesn't seem to actually be a thing. Or at least it's not obvious. Like, I'm a little lost at what I'm doing right now to anything. Because, like, I'm not allowed to research these until cycle 3. And I don't really know what that means. Like, there's a thing here that cycle 3, new metropolis or whatever, but it doesn't tell me any information about that, so... It is kind of one of those things that's like a head scratcher being like, okay, well, I mean, I'm building your buildings. And they gave me the tavern, but I don't want to click on it because it's so loud. But we haven't had the opportunity to do like any type of agricultural or anything. And we have these like tier 1s and 2s. But none of the tier 2s have anything in them, so I'm not really sure what to do with that. I guess just fast forward. Because it's not like you just stamp down more houses and your population goes up. You have to wait for the population to grow. A group of travelers has appeared near the settlement. Okay. Yep, I'll take more workers. 4 more workers. Alright. So you're just gonna go right on over here. All those trees are forfeit. Like I said, don't really need more trees. But, I mean, why not? Okay. So I've got all that going fine. I guess unassign you, since there's literally no trees there. Alright. A merchant is gathering at our border. Okay. So we could trade. You want basic tools. You're willing to give me new stuff I don't have yet. I'm just going with the idea I don't have it, and they have it, and I would like it. Cool. Up. An urgent matter. Our unstable living standards are becoming a concern. We could do better, do something about the morale. Okay, why is our morale down? Chief, our transition to settled life will bring dozens of issues that need to be resolved. Rules and regulations will need to keep everything in order to running smoothly. As our leader, it will be up to you to make the final decision. We hope you can weigh the demands and choose wisely. You can be sure that we will support you as much as we can when you choose difficult paths. However, all decisions you'll make will shape the community one step at a time. Always remember the burden you bear. Do it to our benefit. We almost have our daily lives in order. We have to secure housing, food, and to eat, and duties to fulfill. We've come to believe that we're now entitled to some freedoms. Some freedoms. I will continue to comply with our assigned work and schedules and perform our duties. However, anyone who doesn't want to get up in the morning and go to work should be able to buy some extra rest by selling their share of food or some other supply. You should allow us to barter amongst ourselves. Surely you can give us this much. So basically we'll get a permanent boost to morale, but a cost to the workforce. You know what? Sure, whatever. Which also, with how much food we're getting, I forgot I could just go right here and say, hey, do you want more food? And water, do you want? Even more water? And for tools, how would you... I don't want to look at that. For tools, how do you feel about an increase in tools Oh, wow. That increase in tools. Let's talk about that. When it was going to increase it from 4 to 7, I underestimated just how much of a spike that was. You know what? Actually, I think that's our trade. I think that's our trade that did that. Tables. Nope, that's the people. No, wait. Okay. I'm also waiting for our food consumption to go up. I think it has like a delay before those policies actually kick in. A lot of games will do that because otherwise you get abused by turning it up and down. Yeah, okay, so the tool consumption went back down. I did barely notice there was a prompt that said, hey, it'll take like a little while for this to go into effect. So let's not change anything for a little while. And, like, give it a chance for it to adjust and react or whatever. I wish there was somewhere here it was really easy to see morale. Or also see buildings that can use more workers. So we've got 3 spare workers that aren't needed anywhere specifically yet. Okay, so new cycle, roots and branches. Okay, so we've advanced our tech. Cool. So it's decreased time because now I need to figure stuff out. Residence. We don't have anything new there. Actually, I have to go to technologies. All right, so we have vocational training, which is required for that. Surveillance. The Earth is not dead. The area around us may hold gifts to the old world. Gotcha. And we don't see the next thing of Okay. Let's do the vocational training. Get cultivation going. Start widening our food options. Like, I do like that when you click on these, they do take you to the person. Yeah, no, it seems like it just needs polish, really. Like, don't get me wrong, like I said, the tech tree, I have mixed, like, the tiers to it are fine. I think that's fine. I wish it was more clear when a cycle starts and stops, and stuff like that. All right. Chief, we need a proper press preparation, jeez, to sustain our life here. One of the most important lessons of the last 50 years has been that we can't rely on the seasons to behave as we expect. The fickle atmosphere can breed hellish heat waves and freezing colds in any geography. This state has only worsened with time. It would be foolish to expect it to get any better from here. We need to stock up our essential needs, at the very least on food and water. This will help us cope with extreme seasonal cycles, as well as whatever else pushes us to desperation, though we can't be ready for everything. We can at least try to secure our current well-being. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream. We need to prepare some pickled peppers. Absolutely. So we can stock 5,000 water, and we already have that. Sir. Literally, we just need to wait for the update to happen on our water, and we'll have it.
Sip. What's the worst that could happen?
Yay! Let's go ahead and build another stockpile. I mean, why not, right? We could store more, yes. Bigger portions. Chief, our portions are not filling enough. Our foundations are strong enough for us to call ourselves a permanent settlement. We realize that it's too early to wish for prosperity yet, since we know everything can fall apart at any moment. However, we think that sparing one more ladle of food for the people can't break the balance. For all ration shares, we demand a slight increase. Ration sizes per capita is increased by 30% for each distribution level. Sure, because I could just spare that. Literally no extra effort required. I could just spare that. And that's not even with new technology, which we've already trained, but I failed to notice it because... No, we haven't. It hasn't started yet. Oh, I should probably stop the timer for that video announcement. It's not exactly new anymore. That is not where I do any of that. Where I'm going on there, so let's get that and get that. I need to go to Firebot and quickly go to time-based and disable the timer on the video. Okay. There we go. Just because it's been like a good 5-6 days. I actually need to get the new video edited after stream so it's ready to be up on time. Like, I've already got all the footage and all I captured, it's just editing. I got a pretty good start, but I haven't finished yet. Honestly, one of the hardest parts is getting the music squared away where I can get a hold of DMCA safe music to use for the videos and whatnot. Because there's lots of places where you can stream DMCA safe music, but when it comes to actually downloading to edit into videos, it's much harder. Chief, we've accumulated a massive pool of know-how, but it remains largely undirected and unrealized. That we need to train individuals into more advanced knowledge and practical experience in certain fields. These people will take on specialized tasks rather than odd jobs. We'll put them in charge of building wherein they can put their expertise to use. As a natural consequence of this, their needs will differ from the rest. We should begin training craftsmen as soon as we can. We need to set some standards, such as separating various fields of work and establishing necessary qualifications. We'll start by planning a training roadmap as soon as you announce the new regulations. Let's see, the new world calls for trained systems, which will mean we will consume extra power tools. We will have reduced efficiency. What? Our future will be built by competent hands. All right, let's read what this actually says. Craftsmen have been training with less time. Craftsmen being trained with less time and resources lead to poor quality production, more accidents, faster wear tools. So, okay, we could train them faster, we could train them better. Craftsmen are given more rigorous training regimen, and extra time will be allocated if necessary. They will work more slowly, but safely. Sure. So we got a boot camp here somewhere. Where is the boot camp? I thought we are... Oh, it's still researching. Okay, I thought that event was triggered because we had finished researching. I didn't realize we were still actively in the progress of researching it. I understand. Meanwhile, before we worry about anything else... Oh, you need paper. Surveillance requires paper. Okay, building statics. Cool. Alright, vacational... whatever. Technical camp. You're not a huge building. Hey, Frank, how's it going? Aid our memory. We've grown fast, Chief. Knowledge and gained more and more importance to keep us going. As a community, we need ways to produce and share knowledge more effectively. Our first step in these efforts should be to start producing paper. Let's see. Our days of forgetting are over. Choose a lumber mill. Okay, so it's a lumber mill. We just plop it down and start making paper. I understand. So let's go ahead and do this. Production. Lumber mill. Look, I'm working on the last 6 messages you had for me. Give me a second. Chief, if you want to build the future in this nameless land and make it last, we'll need more people than anything else. Let us aim to increase our population to 100 people within the next 4 years. The sooner we achieve this, the sooner we'll become self-sufficient and a healthy community. Sure. And we have a surplus of literally everything coming except for stone at the moment because we started 2 buildings building. Alright. Is that a major Timberborn update? Is this what we're looking at now? No. Is there a major Timberborn update? Yes. Okay, so you do require paper to do the training. So we'll go ahead and get that square. Foreboding whispers. Chief, we know we're in no place to make excessive demands, but this is a fundamental issue. Community health is deteriorating to the point that we are starting to lose hope, or many of our fellows soon. Lack of care, malnutrition, hygiene problems, harsh seasons. Let us not have to remind you the factors at play. Working long shifts in the scorching hot weather, dehydrate. I assure you, sir, we are not dealing with scorching hot weather right now. I'm going to go on a limb here, and the fact that we're in a literal blizzard, I don't think scorching hot weather is the issue. Likewise, working out in the cold... Oh, never mind. You had more to say. I retract that. Likewise, working in the cold without proper clothing is also hazardous to our community. If we force tired, under-equipped people to work long shifts, we should expect the number of fatal accidents to increase. Ultimately, our success in all that we do depends on the health and resilience of society. Take the right steps to at least regular health to try and maintain it for 30 days. I'll see what I can do. So your health is terrible, because we don't have clothes, the working conditions, the season. So, I'm seeing here is I just need to wait till winter ends, and then that problem will solve itself. That's a reasonable way of approaching that, right? Is ignore the problem until we're in the next season. Alright, so I just have to wait for materials. So what was the new thing we got? A pit. Excavation where stone, clay, and sand are dug up consumes a lot of electricity, but it's renewable. I mean, right now I don't have any priority to deal with it because we're still just chipping away at these until they're gone. But we do have it for when we need it. So I wonder if I build multiple of these wind turbines in the same area. Alright, year 3. The number of destructive accidents was 1, and the number of people who died as a result were 2. Which that was, we got struck by lightning, and 2 people died in the fire. So your health should now go up, because the minus 20 from the season will go away. And with that, their health should just springboard right up. Actually, I think you need to be even higher, but we don't have access to clothing, medication, or health services. In working conditions... we can deal with it. Hey, healthy 50. We have achieved our goal. I like goals that I get credit for without doing anything. Hey, we finished another objective. Cool. So we need our workforce to increase a little bit. Alright, Internet Dweller, you have a good one. And hey, Bentley, how's it going? But yeah, so the Timberborn update is the bad water update. We'll be playing that for the second half of stream. This is News Cycle. It's also a survival settlement builder, but a very different one. I'm doing good. Like, this one's a lot more in the area of, like, Banished. But, like, where they've got a really good foundation on it, I would definitely say there's a lot of pains that are very... like, they're indicative of early access. Just kind of the typical early access kind of pains you run into. Hey, we got that. So we got wind coming in. Solid progress, which is more morale. And then we've got a lot of other things. So this said the trees will renew. So the trees never did come back. So it does seem like once I've cut down the trees, that's it. I suspect we'll get a building later that'll allow us to have, like, renewable trees. Alright, we're going to start learning cultivation. So we can build farms. This reminds you a lot of Frostpunk. The vibe is very Frostpunky, where it's all doom and gloomy kind of thing. Now, granted, this has been nowhere near as brutal as Frostpunk was. Like, Frostpunk, you play the game, and it just keeps, you know, yes and getting worse and worse. Whereas this feels way more like Banished in the you can get things into a stable and comfortable place where you don't have to worry about everything burning down around you constantly. Alright, so we're going to need a new well soon. That's fine. Minus 20. Okay. This is... even at best station, you need to select. Do you want to chop limbs or let people die in Frostpunk? Yeah, so we haven't had anything like that. We have had to make decisions, you know, do we want to, like, cut corners in the training of our people, like, get them through training much faster? Or do we want to, you know, take a different route with it or whatever? Like, we've had those kind of decisions, but not like the big moral ones of, like, child labor and that kind of stuff that Frostpunk hits you with. Alright, so you can make kiln for brick, glass, and cement. Oh, it's an enclosed building. I thought we were going to have to make fields. That works. And I suspect we're going to have to make specialists and everything for... here, how are we doing on tools? Alright, so pretty soon I'm going to need more people to become craftsmen or whatnot. But that should give us some sustainable food. Yeah, so right now it's honestly population growth thing. A building has caught fire. Oh no! Our efficiency has been reduced slightly. Full response. I should have read what that was. I suspect full response is you just grab everyone, they start running over here trying to put out the fire as fast as possible. You're obliterating our water. Can you, like, actually put that out? Like, an entire season's going by and the time it's taking you to do that. Alright. We need one more of you working on tools. We're gonna fall behind otherwise. I get one of you working on vegetables. You don't see a place up here for vegetables, so I'm curious, because there's also not a place up here for the fish. Which is interesting. All right. And then we get them producing paper again, and then we just need more more workers. Like, that's where we're at right now. So we have 53 workers, and I've got enough housing for like 1,200 people. No, is that right? 120 people, not 1,000. 120 people. So we're just... Okay, so we've massively got a penalty on our water production. So our water has to be very underwater. Except it's not actually, because, you know, I'm producing a lot extra. We just upscaled it. Our power is good. So we can expand this. So I've got a pit. Can I just, like, literally build it anywhere? But is there resources I have to worry about? Or is it, like, literally anywhere I can put down the pit? I'm not seeing anything highlight. And I still don't know when it highlights the buildings here, like, what that means. Like, to be like, yo, be careful. You're putting this next to, you know, your subdivisions. We get pretty salty about that. Hit it is. Alright. And then we have the kiln. Don't zap my buildings. Oh, it's a sandstorm. Okay. Maintenance cost of buildings? There's a maintenance cost? We have no money. Alright, so we're just kind of waiting. We'll turn off the building for now. That uses way too much power. All right, let's see. It did highlight something near the mountains when you're over there. Yeah, so it highlighted a bunch of stuff. I think those are just rock nodes over here by the mountains. It's like over here. But none of it gave me any type of feedback on anything, so I don't really know how to approach that. So we'll set you for clay. We will need more power, though. Set you for brick. I'll turn that building off because I don't have people. But if someone wants to start learning coding, with coding language you recommend for self-learning, so, you know, I have a certain bias for C#, but as well as things that, like, if you're learning, like, C# is fine, Java's fine, Python's fine, like, any of those main, like, I'd generally choose any, like, general purpose language. It's not like this is the correct, this is the wrong answer. When you learn one, you're usually in pretty good shape for the others. I don't actually need anything from them right now, so we can go ahead and just not worry about it. What I need is people. So we got more people at some point. So let's go here. Put 5 into that. Get the paper production back online. Get this going. Get one of you making brick. Cool, so it is at least producing something. We're getting pretty close to the point. I am going to need to go to production, soup kitchen. So I can't build that there yet. I do want to keep all the soup kitchens in the same area, but I don't think that's going to be realistic because it's going to take them forever to get all that stone pulled up. So Cobalt is future-proof. So it is a thing. There's always the memes about that. But the reality is, you can actually make really good money learning languages like COBOL. Would I recommend it? Probably not, because it means you're working in COBOL, which is fine, but it is definitely competing for well-paying, but, more and more limited number of jobs. And we're low on power again. Like, it's hard to tell if I build 2 of these next to each other, if that benefits or hurts, or if it's neutral. There's lots of stuff like that's really the game doesn't communicate well. Alright, so there's the fish soup. And get our soup kitchen going. That'll take us a minute to make vegetable soup. And so we can continue to expand our food varieties. Erica say, yeah, not that hard to hop between languages once you learn the basics. Just like any other software tool, you can pick which you want like best and learn specifics afterward. Yep. If it is realistic, it will hurt. JD says, I liked COBOL better because it was structured more like my brain works. I like C too. When trying to learn C#, the fact that the variables could mean multiple different things just threw me. Variables in C# are strongly typed. You can use var if you would like, but that's purely optional. You can just as easily go and say string and whatever. It's languages like JavaScript that they're like, kind of do what you want. We'll figure it out on the other side. Which, that's fine. But yeah, no, in C# they're strongly typed as well. How's this game as an introduction to the genre? Oh, if you're talking about being introduced to the genre, right now I would not say it's good for that. They have iconography, they just assume that you know. But that's early access problems. That very, very much, I think, after they get a little bit more time, going through, you'll get there. Oh, any recommendations for introductions to the genre? Maybe Banished. Banished is a solid one that's like, it's a finished game, well established, gets you the basics. It does have layers without being too heavy-handed on like just the amount of complexity and all that. Let's see, animals are close friends to our ancestors. In the first moments of civilization's end, they were the first to be abandoned. After a while, they started to be used as sources of meats. This hunt-prey relationship, which has lasted half a century, can now change. Now we have enough resources, and our children are growing up in a world where sharing is once again an option. Our growing welfare attracts stray cats and dogs into our settlements. People end up adopting them as pets, even if they don't initially intend to. It would be best to encourage this state of affairs. We are a shelter for everything living, so we would increase the amount of food we need by 20%, but we get a significant boost in morale, and pest infestations would go down, and the others, we don't get those things. Maybe Frostpunk? Yeah, Frostpunk's a good one too. It is a much harder one, but yeah. Ajay said, then again, there were like 5 different languages in college. You had semesters of them. Got lost along the way, knowing I wanted to do and couldn't remember the method to do it. Yeah. Alright, so we'll check out our food. Our food should be fine. And our food will go up because we got more workers. Oh, we could actually train a craftsman finally. Start training. Cool. In the meantime, yeah. Now, Frostpunk is this similar to Farthest Frontier? I mean, in the fact that it's a settlement survival game, yes. But it is very different in a lot of other ways. It does imply that there's crop rotations in that later, but we haven't reached any of that. At least at higher tiers, it's definitely not slapdash approach to things. Yeah. That's the thing. Like, I know for people who prefer strongly typed languages, there is a lot of pressure against languages like JavaScript, which is not a strongly typed language. Which that's neither good or bad, but there is places for things where you can just spin up something and not have to worry about strongly typed languages and that. Okay, so we have our first craftsman. Yay! I actually have no idea where you should be going. Like, I don't think I've seen a building that requires a craftsman yet. Not even the smith requires craftsman, which is a weird choice. Oh, right. I need to remember to get that, assign more people. Everett says, Frostpunk hit the sweet spot between scripted campaign and Sandpog City Builder, like former more, and not to mention the difficulty. Yeah, it's a very scripted thing with Frostpunk, but not in a bad way. Like, it does have like a story progression, because it is unfortunate that when you go to like the endless mode, it feels way emptier. So we are in a harsh winter. All outdoor work has been halted. Mine workforce has been reduced dramatically. Increased chance of getting sick. Well, there's not a whole lot I can do about any of that, so... to the future! Alright, so we are consuming more water than we're producing right now, but I have a weird up arrow that isn't entirely clear what it means. Farthest Frontier is the next city builder I'll probably pick up. Yeah, the only thing to catch with Farthest Frontier is it is a city builder that is like a work in progress, very much so. Like in me, another complete with a dozen I already have. Oh, I need more paper for that. Alright. So we got almost all the stuff for this tier research. We're just waiting for it. Like, I'm producing the brick just because I can, but also I have no idea what to do with the brick. Like, it's just, oh, here's the thing we're not making yet. Let's go ahead and make it. First step to industry. Chief, we now know enough to be able to build our first mining facilities. In order to access rich resources under the surface, we need to position these facilities carefully and begin digging mine shafts to reach whatever we can reach below the surface. Only once these shafts have been dug can we say for certain what minerals we could find in the area, and how much. Ore veins are usually found on mountain slopes, or in rocky areas. After searching a mine building, you can view potential ore veins by navigating close to these areas on the map. Let's get pickaxes ready. Alright, so we want to go ahead and build a basic mine. There. Alright, so we had 3 days of sandstorm, we experienced 1 fire, and 1 person died. Okay. Ixion gave similar vibes to Frostpunk, but it was pretty unbalanced with the way you could just stock up on resources between chapters. I really liked Ixion. I had a lot of people in the circles that I'm in who were pretty, like, kind of lukewarm with Ixion. That, you know, that's fine, but it's kind of those things that I was surprised for, like, how many people were, like, really kind of eh. Like, don't get me wrong, there were balance problems, but half these games have balance problems. Wasn't Ixion the one where they wanted you to test the engine and destroyed the world? Yes. That they had some technology, or like, yeah, let's check out this new technology. And, I mean, spoilers, I guess. But, it doesn't go well. Is the way I will state it. It doesn't go well. They did a faster than light travel in system. The results were not great. Okay, so you can switch stuff at will, but I need more workers to actually work it. Alright. Yeah, so all of our resources seem to be in the positives for the moment. And by a large margin. I do kind of wish, so where they had the red dot here to show me that it's full, and you've got this up arrow, which to me implies I'm gaining, but that this is also gaining, so the up arrow is not clear what's supposed to be communicating, because like almost all of these should have up arrows. So, you know, there's all that. Health. I need to get clothing distribution online. Cool. Alright. So we should be getting pretty close to a population increase and all that. We're making plenty of soup. Like, food is beyond anything we could need. I could probably honestly go in here and say, hey, how would you feel if you got even more food? Because I'm assuming the reason we're not producing even more food than we already are is literally the storage buildings are getting full. So there's just nowhere to put it. It also seems like there's no penalty for me just building a whole bunch of storage buildings. Like, the only negative is they take up space. But, you know, we're not exactly limited on space in the moment, so who really cares? So it's one of those things that we can give ourselves a really big buffer for materials. How's the new game? It's not bad. It definitely feels early access, so like the graphics are great, the systems seem to be really well thought out. There's some UI not great stuff going on that it's just like polished kind of things. I'm confused. That number went up while I was looking at it. Oh, I have to analyze the deposit. I understand. Okay, it's showing what I have, and it will burn those materials to analyze it, I guess? What do you mean not up brick? It says 57 on both sides. There we go. Alright, so you got new technology. Now, downsides, I'm not actually ready for this. We haven't even got caught up with the stuff from the last one. But, you know. You need bricks, you need bricks. You need a lot of required knowledge. Alright, so we don't have what we need for a lot of them. Sending the Canarians? But yeah, no, it's pretty good. We haven't gotten to the late game. There is a little bit of like lack of information at times as well, but it's not like really bad or whatever. This building has been inactive too long. Rusted tools will reduce its efficiency. I don't really care, actually.
Thank you Vortis Lost for subscribing for 10 months. Rules Hyperave Rules Hyperave Rules Love Rules Love.
Thank you, Vortis, for the tier 1 sub. That's 10 months you've been subbed to the channel. I really do appreciate the continued support. It does mean a whole heck of a lot that you continue to support the channel after all this time. So thank you for that. I do hope you're having yourself a good day and that you're enjoying your access to the advertisement-free viewing as well as access to the emotes. So thank you again for that. Alright, so we've got all that going. We're going here. One more person shows up and we will have the full coverage there. We got our 10 people here. Put those there. Put those there. I got 5 people to spare. What is in our building we haven't made yet? We're all good on all this. We're all good here. Scouts Guild. I don't have enough stone. I have been having no issues with stone forever, and we just been on a building spree. It seems like the mine is a stone sink so far as like building your stuff. Oh. Okay. So you got a frostpunk kind of thing for exploring. Our settlement has begun to resemble a village. We're not a group of wanderers looking to scrape by anymore. Though it feels as though our new home and living means working constantly, we can't hope to endure a life like this for too long. We need to think about adjusting our shifts to allow us a day of rest. New working schedule of 1 day off for 9 days work. And we will gain knowledge, morale, but we will reduce our labor. Fine. That does mean we're going to have to double check a lot of our production stuff. Because that's all going to get thrown out of whack by that. Oh, I can't actually make copper ingots yet. Well, in the meantime, go ahead and just make iron so you're doing something. Hey, Cursed Chaos. Alright, so... we got the scout's place. Is it built yet? Create a scout team. You just click a button and it does it. It didn't cost me anything. Sure. Anything we need exciting here? Nope. Alright, so we can go to the world map. We're sending scout teams to both locations. Wait. Territory? Productivity? Railway routes? Okay, there's a whole extra layer to this game we weren't aware of. Good to know. Anyone tried the new Prince of Persia game? I heard a lot of good things, but not tried it. I have not. It's not usually the style of game I typically go for. But what I did say, it looks good. Something is approaching. Chief, the sounds could only come from a machine. Could our ears be deceiving us? Let's calm down and see what's going on. I wasn't expecting a big cinematic. We just have a random destroyer coming through here? Is that what I'm understanding? Nope, we suddenly have housing problems. Let's slow down time. Yeah, it's just, I was just thinking that, it's like, do they not realize maintaining a ship like that is actually kind of a major project? Oh, you don't have enough stone. Okay. Alright, so we're going to need to make another pit for stone, probably. I kind of just want to leave that running, just so, like, leave this running for its resources. And whatnot. Actually, we could probably just do that. Because I want to keep pulling up the resources we've got here. Versus making the pit and all that. Preservers of the old way. I come on behalf of the Confederation of Autonomous City-States. My name is Senior Colonel J. Hamilton, Commander of the 13th Squadron, and I extend greetings to you. I demand a meeting with the leader of the community. You may speak freely. Let me guess. Chief, Captain, or Mayor? Hey, Belnar, thanks so much for the raid. I do hope you had yourself a good stream and whatnot. But, you know, welcome in, raiders. Yeah, just... Meanwhile, we could... Well, I mean, I think the implication that was we left the mine not running for months, like an entire season or two. But yeah, but welcome in. Let me go ahead and get a shout-out, maybe. Shout-out. Why is it giving me a fight? For Belnar. For those who don't know Belnar, absolutely fantastic creator on the platform. Fellow member of the Halcyon Frequency stream team and playing some Binding of Isaac Repentance. I feel like I saw you playing something else earlier. Like I know last night we raided you and you're playing that, but I feel like the game switched at some point. Regardless, plays a lot of fantastic indie games, does like a lot of survival games like Binding of Isaac as well, and Terraria and those kind of things. So if that all sounds good, you can find it all over there. So thank you again so much for that raid. I do appreciate it. Palworld, that's right. You started with Binding of Isaac and you switched to Palworld. That's right, because I saw you were playing Palworld earlier, and I just was like, no, I'm pretty sure I rated you were playing Binding of Isaac, and you switched during your stream, and then Twitch just doesn't know how to handle that. It's too much. But welcome in. Yeah, I haven't played Palworld yet. I didn't get fortunate enough to get a key, and I've been kind of holding off on it, just to kind of see it. It looks good, from what I've seen so far. And then Binding of Isaac is a classic if you're into the roguelite. You go in like the dungeon and you like mash together a bunch of skills and make a disaster. Or sometimes the game just says you don't get any fun toys and you just try and claw your way through a run. But that's part of the fun. Playing it from Game Pass? Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, no, Zoside was mentioning that you can capture NPCs, and the game doesn't really discern NPCs, like human NPCs, from the critters. So the stuff you can do for the critters, such as, you know, eat them, it lets you do those to the NPCs, which I think was like an oversight, not a intentional design decision, but also, eek. But yeah, so we've been playing some New Cycle, which is a fairly new post-apocalyptic city builder. We have just been confronted by this group called the, Keepers of the Old Way. They rolled in a destroyer in a world that, like, barely anything is functioning. Like, we are struggling with, like, the most basic electricity because society fell to a, in the canon of this world, you had a giant electromagnetic wave from a solar flare, just wiped out everything, and society collapsed in the fight for resources afterwards. And now we're rebuilding. And then they just roll in and destroy. I'm like, hang on a second. How are you maintaining that destroyer? Because anyone who knows about, like, a lot of those ships, it's not like they manufacture the materials to keep them going themselves. There is an entire sustained logistics to keeping stuff like aircraft carriers and destroyers and that just seaworthy. Like, Frank, what pirate is going to mess with you if you're into destroyer? Well, it's not that. It's you have a lot of machinery operating in there that all needs to be maintained, which requires parts and infrastructure and fuel and all those. It's not like you're just going out and chucking logs into a boiler and keeping that thing moving. So when I saw the destroyer roll in, I'm like, excuse me? I thought our technology was basically borked. That is a very sophisticated piece of technology to be maintaining in the current world situation that would require hundreds, if not thousands, of people to keep that up and running through all the, logistic chains of materials and all that. But yeah, so they're rolling in, and I'm going to just assume that basically they're the antagonists for us, that they got the big destroyer and they're like, we want things to run the way we want. You don't get to have your way. Versus we've been mostly minding our own business, just trying to survive. Let me guess. Chief, Captain, or Mayor? I at least hope you don't call yourself General or Governor. I can see your whole village getting worked up over my arrival. The beautiful machine that carried me to here is called the TMS Horror. Despite being a century old, it is still fully functional. On the way home, we had an unfortunate series of incidents. We lost one of our engines in a violent storm, and it lasted for 2 weeks straight. And 3 of our comrades were severely wounded during attempts to repair it. Despite an unresponsive rudder and malfunctioning engine, thanks to my vast seamanship and leadership skills, we have managed to follow the coastline and avoid being tossed around in the open sea, eventually finding your settlement. Let's see. We are glad you did not incur any serious losses. If I thought you were sufficiently advanced, I would have liked to establish a diplomatic relations on behalf of the Confederation. How unfortunately, you seem like only a bunch of stragglers. Therefore, without further ado, I request your support for a quick repair, for which we cannot give you anything in return. We will also need to replenish our stock of supplies. Normally, a Confederate officer would not be concerned to ask anything from a small, desperate settlement like yours, but today, the circumstances demand it. Think hard about your answer. The Confederation does not make trades, but it always responds to rejected demands. So basically, we're being extorted. He's like, I got a big, scary murder boat in the water that needs a little spit polish, and you're going to give it to me for freezies. And the counter argument is, I have sticks and, well, I have more sticks. I probably have like wrenches and pickaxes against your big scary murder boat, of which can just sit out in the water and probably bombard me for about 5 seconds before it runs out of ordnance, and then there's no more ordnance anymore. Let's see. We'll provide the necessary assistance. Do you give me information? You will need... I'm literally maxed out on ingots, so I don't care. I got more than enough tools for you, so I don't care. I've got more than enough meat, so I don't care. I actually have no idea what number of vegetables I have. So for 10 days, we will be penalized with labor theft, which will penalize all of my production. We don't see any reason to help. A risky option, considering we know very little about them. Leave them to their broken ship. Chief, these people have a working warship. We can't even begin to produce steel yet. Is such bravado necessary? Let's see. Well, if he doesn't make it back to the boat, he won't know to fire at us. Yeah, all they really need to maintain guns, rest they just rob. Yeah, nah, obviously, so reading between the lines of game thinks of what will probably happen. If we provide them the necessary assistance, we may or may not get a benefit from it. It might just be neutral is the benefit, or it might be they give us something in return. If we say no reason, I see no reason to help, then, you know, like, they're here, they could do whatever. More than likely, this will come back to bite us, that we'll get some type of penalty. That, you know, there'll be an event triggered that they came in and shot at us, stole what they needed, and we lose a bunch of people. And then leave and take your ship with you. That likely will escalate into something terrible for us. I have basically all the resources to spare, and then some. Like, I am overabundant on almost all the resources they're asking for. Like, the only one I'm not sure is the vegetables. So, we'll provide the necessary assistance. Yeah, so vegetables is the only one I don't just have on hand. So we're just going to go to this one, and for the moment, you're shut down. No more vegetable stew. Yeah, the second option could be haggling, but the problem is we don't have the information we need to know that. And there's a good chance that once I make the decision, it's too little too late. We can't take it back. So, since they have big murder warship, we're going to go with the we don't want to be on their bad side. Because like I said, we could throw a wrench at them. A literal wrench. Not like a mess up their plans, but literally just take a wrench and huck it out into the ocean. And that's about everything we can handle. Oh man, our population is just exploding. We built in our building up here. So the vegetables are the only thing we're hurting on. But like, we're super positive in meat, we're super positive in mushrooms, we're super positive in pretty much everything right now. The only thing we're not positive with... What? So the tools are not positive. Oh, that's because of the work penalty for 10 days. So we could absorb that. Why is the food so heavily penalized? Like, this building does not matter that much. So we're gonna go into our rations. Oh, our food output was penalized way before that. So we're gonna go here. Hey, you know what? I gave you those double rations. I am immediately regretting that. So you're not gonna get those double rations anymore. The good news is I got a whole bunch of mushy mush. So we do have the raw materials. We're just not making them fast enough. And that's because of this up here where we have a significant penalty. A guest. Hey Chief, I'm Clara. Excuse my haste, but I've come a long way into the only group of people I've come across. I need your help. I'm a member of a village of 20 people, and our water wells have run dry. We couldn't find a permanent solution within our vicinity. With our situation worsening day by day, fellow villagers like me have gone out to seek. Take a breath and rest. We have no choice but to leave our home, but we have neither the strength nor the resources to build a settlement from scratch. If you would have us, we'd like to join. Although I hate to ask for more, it will be a long and arduous journey. My people are already badly battered. Well, I mean, you shouldn't carry that sledgehammer with you as you're just walking. We all need supplies, resource the journey. Yeah, that's fine. Last suggestion. Chief, we need more people to sustain what we built. We keep relying on stray travelers finding us, and our scouts are stumbling upon small settlements. We have a proposal to systemize our growth. I'm listening. We can force small envoys and send them off in certain directions. Hopefully, some of them will discover communities who are unaware of our existence and might be willing to join. It would be a good idea to give these envoys some of the best crafted products and freshly sealed can of food, a shiny new hammer, or a spotlessly clean outfit to help persuade and uplift those who know nothing but deprivation. You can use this initiative as a periodic action as you like. Sending envoys. Sure, we'll send the message of hope. So he gave them what they needed, and in 15 to 20 days they will be back. Wow, you are taking forever to produce those vegetables. Right, because right now our production is being severely penalized. The scouts have arrived in the valley. Uncharted territory. There's a large area. It looks empty and untouched, except for a few ruined buildings from long ago. There's nothing to see. A few woods may harbor some small prey, and judging by the weedy ground, water can be found without going too deep below the surface. Even if we don't find anything useful, we propose to build a watchtower here to increase our awareness of the surrounding. Sure. Does that just happen, or do I need to click something to do that? I'm guessing it just happened automatically. I don't know. Vast plains of grass, rocky landing, steep slopes rising into the sky, with a hint of mountain range ahead. These lands have an abundance of resources and ample rainfall. If nothing works, we can at least build a watchtower here so we can interact with more people passing by. This could help our city to receive more immigration. It is reassuring to have this resource nearby. Did I? Ah, I see. So, yeah, I got plenty to spare. Gotcha, so we could build a watchtower there. Okay, I understand. So you build watchtowers and attach roads and all sorts of stuff. Oh man, it's going to take so long for us to get those vegetables. I also need you to stop screwing my labor force, please. Alright, I hate to break it to everyone, morale's about to take a real bad hit here. Because what we're going to be doing is that food supply you love so much, yeah, we're going down to medium rations. Blame our newcomers. Storm their ship, burn everything. Mental stagnation. People are having to sleep on empty stomach. Morale of workforces. Let's see, this area is not abundant enough for us to produce for a long time. We should try our luck elsewhere. Okay. Alright. We're eating raw food. A gross miscalculation. What is the point in increasing food shares if we don't, if some of us don't get a bite? We don't have enough food to meet the ration. I've reduced the rations heavily. Like, I've massively reduced the rations. Alright, so what we need to do is... We need to get another kale yard or whatever it is one thing we need. So production. So get that built and that'll help. Get this guy off our back. Why? Man, this production penalty. I had literally thousands of rations sat there. We had just gone over. You build roads the street. Yeah, no, it seems like I didn't realize the world map had so much going on, and then we got there, it's like, oh, hi. Let's see, divided layers. Why are my tools diminishing? It's killing me, these people out the water. Like, it's not even the demands they had, it's literally the labor theft. Like, the labor theft is absolutely murdering me. Yeah, so tool needs, I hate to break it to you all, but we're dropping down to regular tool needs. Water is totally fine. The texture slopes indicates the presence of coal. Let's get to work. Our health is diminishing. Yeah, so it looks like we just kind of explore the maps. Like, you can put resource stuff here, you can put this stuff here. So it's not... I would like to move this. Okay, come on. Yes, please. There's a lot of cool stuff there. At the moment, though, we just basically need to ride out this labor shortage. And once it gets off our back, we should be okay. Okay, we're now producing more food than we're using. Unrest losing control. Chief, we feel the need to give you a clear warning. For days you've been trying to live on rations that barely will our spoods. Why must we stoop to such a life when we have all the resources to improve? Do you honestly find this acceptable? We expect you to fix this within 10 days. Do your duty before our patience wanes. Look, I'm trying. I just need this person to get off our back. Okay, we have fixer distribution. So that should fix those. Just, how's it going? Yeah, so it's funny, like, I was sitting there like, oh man, they're gonna take all these resources. Luckily, I can handle that. I didn't realize the workforce for all class penalties was gonna be so incredibly severe. Think to vote me off the island. Hey man, with your big boat out to sea, could you take me away? I'm feeling like murder might be on my immediate agenda, and I don't like it. I'm not a fan of the potential risk of being murdered. So if you could do me a solid real fast. Okay. So highlights, there was no significant events. Cool. The worst thing is the vegetable thing. Is I need to get him in the vegetables, but I can't give him the vegetables because of his stupid worker penalty. I know you're eating raw food. I'm trying to deal with it. Yeah, so it's just all of these. It's just like, hey, you know, there's resources. You scout for them. All right, soon enough, we should be back in business. Okay, we are net positive on meals, so we just gotta wait for that. Once this labor penalty goes away, this should get way better. I just didn't realize like how bad this penalty is for us. Like this is severely awful penalty. It's like cutting our production in near half. That's fine. Meanwhile, we're going to go here, expecting the recovery. We're going to need to change from simple to regular. Which, we're not really able to sustain that, but I need to get that set in before this penalizes us. Because this is about to drop off, and suddenly all of our production should bounce back. Okay, so production should recover. We should see a massive increase in the production of everything. Thankfully. Awesome. Yeah, okay. Everything is recovering. That's all we need to do is just ride out that. We need a cemetery. Do I even have the ability to make a cemetery? Where does residence, smelter, water pump, tin, storehouse, greenhouse. We haven't had the option to build a cemetery this whole time. Okay, so we're now starting to have stuff appear in the second one. We still don't have an option for a cemetery. So it's like I need a cemetery, but we haven't had that option. So I don't know what it really wants me to do with that. All right. Let's look at our technology. So what are we missing to be able to get any kind of technology going? So you need stable roots. Okay, so we could do that. Maintenance building. I know what that's for, but we're going to get moving with that. Alright, so we did satisfy their need for the rations, so morale is starting to recover. Good. Once we've got our buffer of food... Ooh, that's negative again. Really? Could you not destroy my lumber mill, please? That's fine. We can go production, soup kitchen, production, soup kitchen. We got an abundance of mushrooms. We could go ahead and add mushrooms to the list. Our water consumption is astronomical. Man, I don't know what changed, but I mean, I guess it's like the morale or something just really, really hurt us. So do you have more water resources over here we can put to use? There's already a well in those ones. Alright, a well in those ones. Alright. Let's see. Possible hunting ground. Okay. I'm just having them explore up and down the coasts. Cool. We just got a whole lot of new people. That doesn't really help our cause right now. I'm sorry. You're going back to simple meal. You're going back to medium rations. Too many of you are moving in too fast. I need you to all calm down. You got, oh, we never got weaving. All right, we'll do that next. Okay, so we rebuilt this. This is the one that was doing paper, so let's get all of our workers back in business. I believe that's one doing paper. Where's your lumber mill? There you are. Okay, cool. So we got paper back in the menu. We've got this. That is the one that is doing the vegetables. We've just shut that down entirely for right now. You are going to make mushroom soup, and you're going to make a lot of it. Okay, so I put you on that. You're going to burn through it relatively fast. So let's see. So it says we are making more meat that I can use. So we're going to go ahead and put that on there. So we can go ahead and keep that going. That should increase our food stuff. You're telling me I need a cemetery, but as far as I can see here, there's literally no cemetery option. I'm down to build a cemetery. I would like to build a cemetery. I think that's an excellent idea to build a cemetery. But game, hear me out. Where the heck do I get a cemetery? It's not a thing we see here. I'm willing to provide, but you gotta give me a little bit of information, because I don't see it as an option anywhere over here. I can't select those other ones to look. So we got water pump, tin. Yeah, so I can't look ahead a lot of these. Yeah, no, there's I can't look at these. So the game is screaming at me to make a cemetery, but it's just not even a function I have the availability for at all. Yeah, mine doesn't really need to be functioning, but I got so many extra workers. My population is absolutely exploding, and I don't really know how to get that under control. It's also not clear how the heck you can tell what your... So we're running out of housing. Sustainability. Get this out of the way. Chief, we've come a long way as a community. We need a different infrastructure for diversified needs of production chains increasing rapidly. Our settlement needs permanent solutions that will support advanced construction methods. In addition, advanced structures will need regular maintenance. Build a maintenance building and assign a workforce to it in order to, priority construction activities throughout the city. Track the resources being spent on maintenance activities to determine the level of upkeep. Okay. I don't have what I need to make it, so it doesn't matter. All right. Well, have I tried Forest Frontier? Yes, I very much enjoyed it. I haven't played in a very long time, but I do intend on going back to it at some point. I am enjoying New Cycle. It definitely has a lot of early access pains. Like, the foundation is really good, but like stuff like it's yelling at me to get a cemetery. I've checked every menu. I don't know where they're hiding the cemetery from. Let's... There's no search function. Of course there's no search function. Doesn't look like it's there. But yeah, for those who don't know Longclaw, another fantastic creator. both here on Twitch and YouTube. So definitely check them out. They are going to be one of the people who's going to have to make the move over to YouTube here in not super long, because unfortunately Twitch is shutting down in South Korea. So, you know, that is one reason we're deliberately shouting out YouTube, is very specifically they're going to, you know, anything we can do to help them as they're kind of being forced to bump to the next platform. Why are you so loud? Societal risks. Under right conditions, anything can become rotten. The free barter agreement has put some of us in a very different situation. We are uncomfortable with it. More and more people are using it to their own fair games. Even a black market is starting to emerge. More, it's becoming impossible to ignore the young women selling their bodies to avoid going to work. That was not our aim. Okay. We all know we are implemented. We all know that we We all know that we implemented this regulation to gain some autonomy with our daily lives. But if it continues as is, it will only birth more evil. Some fear will damn ourselves at some point, and irreversible damage will surely be done. We must find a solution. Let's see, everyone chooses for themselves. We will not go back at our decision. Some will find this even more unpalatable. Revoke your barter rights regulation before things get worse. We don't know how the majority will respond. So basically, they're like, okay, you could stick with like free trade or whatever, which the whole idea was that you could sit there and if you didn't want to go to work, you could trade something away to like not go to work instead, kind of thing, for someone else, like to kind of fill in or whatever. It's fine. We're going to double down on it. Like, it wasn't that the alternative is like, you know, heavily regulated or something like that. It was just, we gave them the option to effectively pay to not work kind of thing. Like someone kind of fill in. Basically, it penalized our productivity. Yeah, so we got a bunch of people who are upset. We got a moral penalty from the lightning strike. Our meals are starting to go up, so we can go in here now. So, rations. We're going to increase distribution, which we should be able to absorb that entire amount of increased distribution to improve our quality of life here. Man, it takes forever for us to get the vegetables. I don't know what I do about the cemetery thing, and I find that very actually frustrating, to be honest. Because, like, it would be one thing, it was like, this is not implemented yet, but it's acting like I should know where it is, and it doesn't give me any information on that. And I see cemetery nowhere in any of this. Nor could I see it in where we're at. My only assumption is it's a tech tree higher than we have access to right now. And we're just getting kind of slapped about by the game until that happens. So we can weave some clothes and that'll improve that. Our power is low. Yeah, so that's kind of the pain point, is there's UI stuff that is definitely not caught up with the game stuff, and like their tutorial stuff is also not in the best place. Honestly, right now I don't even need you working. What I need is a lot more production of a lot more things. So we can go ahead and increase our tool production, I guess. Didn't I already? No, it's a kiln. Yeah, so we'll increase our smith production. So that'll be something we can do with our workers, because I got tons of extra workers that I just don't have the ability to put to proper use right now. I also kind of don't like the tiered thing there. It makes it just kind of harder to find what I'm looking for. I understand later on most likely would just stay in the higher tier, but that's fine. Okay, so we still need a pit to get sand to make glass. Let's go ahead and resources pit. As far as I can tell, it didn't matter at all where I put the pit. So we can get that going real fast. Oh, we are absolutely obliterating our water. Can I, like, double up? That'll be a little extra water for us. That's another water resource. I'll tell it to go. We have plenty of water. I know, that's the whole thing. It's just like immediately escalated. Drop that down to regular. Okay, tools. There, that should take care of our tools to give us a pretty solid surplus coming in. We need even more food. We do have a surplus of that. We don't really have a surplus of this. Yeah, so they're working their best. We'll try and get even more meat happening. Is the boat still there? Yeah, it's going to be there until I get the vegetables. And these vegetables take pretty much what feels like 1,000 years to do anything. Oh, I can't actually do sand yet. Alright, well, fine. Just go pull up stone in the meantime. Alright. I can also go here. Start training 2 more craftsmen. To just put in the mine. I just have extra people, and I need to get my food sorted. I'd probably make another place to make vegetables. I probably will. It's like suddenly the game went from, you know, everything was a slow thing to just like running around and be like, oh, let me just start grabbing people and just put in the place as fast as I can. And there's not as much transparency as I'd like on being able to see the status of stuff. And that's because of production. So I can't actually get the glass yet. Got started. Because I need to research the glass. So I've got our pit pulling stone for the time being. More kale. We've got a sandstorm is going to heavily penalize everything. Love to see it. Not really. We have reached acceleration. So we've reached where we'll... Okay, so cemetery is on the list for the new tech. Excellent. And we've got our new people. Alright. As we continue to grow, the volume and variety of our needs are likewise expand. There can be no farther progress without the potent energy source to support growing need of production and flow of our daily life. Coal is the most valuable and readily available resource for this. Just as it was centuries ago when our ancestors revolutionized our civilization, let's pool our efforts and activate our first coal generator. I'm nowhere near ready for that, actually. I would like to be, but wanting to be at a situation doesn't mean I am. So you can find a bunch of stuff at the coast. Health is continuing to decline because of the sandstorm and everything. Don't love to see it. Alright. The rugged terrain makes it difficult to travel on foot in this region. Building and constructing costs time will increase, but basically it has, like, everything. Alright. Are you enjoying this so far? I am. There is a lot of pain points, just to be clear, like a lot of pain points that are not great. But that said, I am enjoying what we're playing. So start trade, you only want basic tools, which I cannot spare, so go away. Like, our need to keep the tech moving. What would it take to get the cemetery? Here. You need a ridiculous amount of knowledge and earned rights, which is here, which requires pressurized systems. That is an interesting requirement. Pressurized systems? Where do you come from? Pressurized systems, which requires insulated furnaces. Which down here? Okay, insulated furnaces it is. Yeah, we're like still struggling with. Oh, it's because we had the sandstorms why our production was such crap. I mean, that's the other part is we're just our population is getting out of control and we don't really have a means of limiting that. That said, we are quickly trying to put together all the vegetables we can to get the ship out of here, and then we can turn the soup kitchen back on for the vegetables as well. We're definitely going to need a different form of food that does not depend on water as part of its systems. Alright, so you're running low on wood. That'll help with that. That's it, I'm sitting on a giant mountain of wood. New frontier. We should take care to preserve this momentum. Our revolutionary progress in energy production has paved the way for the coming up with products that we theorized but never attempted to produce before. We have our eyes set inside on the miraculous medicines to drinks with thousands of flavors that could enrich our lives by realizing these dearly missed commodities. For this objective, developed or earned rights and pressurized systems, produce drinks and medicines, start daily distribution, tier people through the taverns and infirmaries, observe the benefits successful. That feels like it was not done yet. As far as quest goes, that feels like that was one that was not done yet. They're just like, do the next thing. Because again, early access. I wish, is there a way I could see my population and housing and all that kind of stuff? Housing, 100%. Okay, I wish I could see how much I had to spare. That's a lot of requirements for being able to dig a hole and toss a corpse in it. Yeah, no, it really is weird. We started to have like the need for the cemetery well before it felt like you'd realistically be able to get it. So that is a little bit of a head scratcher, being like, really? What is going on with your cam at the bottom left? Oh. Oh, it's the silver bracket for the microphone that it was the thing, the green screen thing, trying desperately to make it work. Just stop killing your people off screen. We've only had like 5 people die the entire game. So it's not actually that I've been letting the people die. It has been a very, very slow thing. So earned rights, pressurized systems. Okay, so you need... We can't make... Well, I don't have them yet. It's not that we can't make them. Alright, so now we need to go to production... Smelter. Ah, kitchen. I need wire. Okay. And I believe we make that the wire. But requires switches and circuits to be researched. Alright. Yeah, so it's weird that you keep getting these things that's like, I can research a building production-wise here. So I can research a smelter, but I cannot actually build the smelter till I have the other technology. So it feels like the research tree definitely feels like the one of the places they're really not in a good place yet. Because one, like the UI of it's just a little bit weird. And the research you need to unlock stuff, which is normally fine in a game, in this case is kind of all over the place. That I can get something I can't use. And like that kind of stuff is happening quite a bit. But that to me is just, okay, you got a little bit of posh you gotta do with the different stuff to figure it out. So we need to improve the health of our people. I'm not sure why our health is so crap right now. Okay, so with this, we are ready to build another pit. Group of travelers. Fine. And then I believe the forge... No, the forge doesn't. The kiln can make the sand. Our health just keeps getting worse and worse. Which the distribution of clothes should help. Crop rotations, start research of that. Yeah, because what I need to do is I need to build this to get sand. I need to do the next thing to get glass to do the next thing. Hey, your local guru, how's it going? Can I get a shout out for your local guru, by the way? Another fantastic creator on the platform. Plays a whole mess of different games. According to Twitch, the most recent thing has been SnowRunner, which is something we've been playing recently as well. So, you know, if you like SnowRunner, you can find it over there as well. But yeah, so no, I'd definitely say my review of this game so far is it seems to be on like a really good start. But there's definitely places the game seems to have issues. Like the fact that I cannot see my fish or my vegetables up here is a weird choice, as those are researchers. I would be okay if you mouse over, like maybe all of the food gets put under one tier, like the raw food, and you could drop down and see that. That would be fine, or like some other way to clear. And Beam, and G. Last Friday? Nice, nice. Okay, so you're done. Sand. Get 10 people working on making sand. But the tutorial has a lot of stuff that's not great, where it's wall of texty. But yeah, the research pane, like this needs some love. Like some of it needs to be reorganized. That if I need wire to make the smelter, the wire should be a prerequisite of this, not the other way. Like. Not other stuff going on there. Like, it's like little stuff like that. Definitely feels like they did really good in setting up all of this stuff, a lot of the other balance stuff and all that. But then there are other places of the game that I feel like aren't quite as far along, is the way I will state it. So we get that. We're now making glass, so that's good. But it is a really good start. And considering it's early access that only dropped a couple days ago. Like, that's not bad. But if you're looking for a game that's, like, properly in a good spot, it's definitely not there yet. So if you're looking for the game to play and have a what feels like a good experience, like a good thought through experience, it does feel like it needs more time. Long as it is, as if a survival game told you to make a stone axe before mining stone feels odd. Yeah, and it's like, don't get me wrong, it's not a blocker. I can go and just do the next thing and whatnot, but it's a weird choice. So we have crop rotation, so I believe that will give us the choice. Of a lot of stuff. So we have... Gotcha, so those are those ones where we can try and find where we want to put this to have it. It's looking like 6 is the most I can make happen. Nope, there's 7 down here, 8. So they're building there. Alright, our scouts are done. And I haven't felt particularly invested in the this exploration side of it, because it feels like the exploration side of it is just very genuinely that you just have these remote areas that give me more resources from out here, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But compared to for like another game I'd compare this against, which is Frostpunk, because they have the same kind of exploration mechanic, it does feel pretty underwhelming. That's just resources. But again, early access, they probably just recycled a lot of their stuff until they have time to like actually flesh it out. It could also be a deliberate thing to not give you all the stuff yet. Until it's farther along development. So that way they can kind of hold it back for release as like the big thing is like now you can get the story or whatever. Since they did imply there's going to be a very combat-heavy mode, even though we've not seen any combat whatsoever, where we've got this annoying destroyer just sitting off the side of our shore, taking all our vegetables. That, my assumption is, in that mode, they are more of a threat. So tools are good. Iron ingots are barely good. Timber is good. Food is good. Water is good. Meat is good. Mushrooms are actually dropping now. So let's see if we can't get another gathering camp around here somewhere to get more mushrooms. There's one where we can actually get a couple different things. So we got 2 mushrooms up there, which is fine. We got mushrooms down here. Just barely cannot get them all in there. Those ones are already being exploited, so we can't really get a whole lot. There's fish over there. You know, the mushrooms and meat here. We're already hitting those meat resources pretty hard. Mushrooms and meat there. We need the 2 mushrooms over here. Is it already gathered? No, it's a field camp. Okay. Yeah, so my assumption what's going to happen with this farm... Here we go. So we have grain. Okay, so that's going to actually use a lot of water, which is a very big concern. I think we can absorb that, but it does feel like very quickly it's going to be a problem. So we have the farm. So we get the kitchen. Alright. Let's check our research here since stuff stopped moving again. Do you not start it? Oh, I don't have... Right. You need wire. Sure. So we're waiting for whatever building we were waiting for to make... Oh, wait, I needed to wait for the glass. No, I didn't. I need to wait for the wire. Which requires circuits. Wait a second. So the circuits requires copper, but the copper forge requires wire. Am I expected to trade for this? So smelter requires 14 wire, and it allows you to create... Oh, you know what? I just remembered. Our little forge could do it, we just didn't unlock it earlier. Okay, I was about to be like, wait a second. How is that supposed to work? Right, you can actually do this material. I just wasn't able to do it earlier. That's fine. I was having a momentary, it's like, I don't understand. What do you want me to do with this? Everyone's still housed. So that's good. Alright, so we were able to absorb the water consumption. Alright. Yeah, so it's just missing a lot of elegancies, a lot of quality of life stuff that are in the genre now. But that's fine. Like I said, it's got the core stuff of the game in place already, which is usually the place that a lot of these actually fall short. Is a lot of the in the genre, a lot of the new, like a lot of the newer games end up being a really big problem that, you know, they end up just kind of feeling a little bit on the empty side. Like there's a game there, but you're like, okay, but also it's very not satisfying. Like you just go and it's like, okay, it's functional, but eh. Whereas this one feels like it's actually in really pretty good start. It just needs that polish. When I say polish, I'm talking like balancing out a gray area. Social hierarchies. Chef? It's supposed to be chief. Chef. This might sound a bit sinister at first, but hear us out. We've all worked hard and paid the price to make life here what it is. We provide a level of comfort and order that can even be considered a luxury in the Lost World. There are risks in opening our doors to outsiders, but we know there's nothing else we can do to grow. Still, it isn't right that newcomers should immediately have access to the same opportunities and welfare as our brothers and sisters have paid such a heavy price to get us this far. What can be done? There are people among us who underwent craftsmanship training more than 5 times. It's simply not fair for someone to show up at our door tomorrow and immediately supersede our hardworking fellows. We demand that you solve this matter with a regulation to give extra benefits to those who lived and worked here for longer. Those who have been living here in our settlement for a longer period of time will have some preferential rights, being first in the distribution of shares, separate participation in training and housing lotteries. Relative newcomers will not have these rights until they have worked in heavy and dirty jobs for some times. No. Look, man, we got an abundance of stuff. We don't need to be like nickel and diming people, be like, you didn't sweat to get us this point. It's like I get the feeling behind it, but also, no. Yeah, the answer you're looking for is what we refer to as no. That requires wire as well. Everything requires wire. Where is my smelters? It's also really hard to discern a bunch of the buildings from each other. The smoke thickens. The air is burning our throats. The sky is reddening. What are we going to do? We need to remain calm. Okay. Oh, is it because we're cutting down all of the trees and we have all the smokestacks that are causing pollution problems now? Smoke clouds. We have observed a large fire in the distance, Chief. Okay, that makes more sense. We are unfortunately familiar with this situation. Through severely diminished, our species is still the main cause of these fires. We can't say when or if it will be extinguished, if it will spread to us, or if we can even intervene. However, it's certain that we are exposed to dense smoke and all the hazards it carries. We could take some precautions, or we can accept whatever fate brings us. It's your decision. Oh, that is going to... That is going to be a problem. So, the morale penalty plus the health penalty is enough to probably make that workforce penalty be a thing, versus the morale benefit is not going to overcome it. Oh, that's going to hurt. How long? Please tell me. 6 days? I think we can absorb 6 days. Okay. Gonna take the MT test 5 times to pass. It's not fair. They passed their first time. Are you winning? I mean, we haven't lost yet. Yeah, no, it's their complaint was more, it's like, hey, these, you know, it's like, here we have had to like do all this stuff. Like, there's a certain amount of understanding with the argument they had. Is like, hey, we were here when it sucked. We helped build it up. You know, we put all this effort in. We've gone through training. We've done all these things. Like, we've done everything to help build and carry the society, and then new people come in and they just benefit. You know, what about, like, it's very much like, I feel like I deserve more, and it's like, okay, you do actually have a certain amount of a compelling argument to be had. But, at the same time, being like the promise of we will give more to those who have been here longer is a promise. But kind of the counter is usually what that actually creates is effectively a 2-class system where you have, you know, here we are the special people and everyone else gets the subpar. And the idea would be you'd raise both of those. So like the newcomers would be at your starting point and that you would benefit. But usually what actually happens is you have the starting point is that first-class citizen thing and then everyone else is treated like garbage is usually the way that pans out in the real world. So while I can understand the sentiment of what they were saying and feeling, the reality is it does end up making a class system. It's basically an excuse to undertreat people. The bonus you got is what you've worked for. Then the newcomers will work hard to benefit from the others who are already there. People are so stupid. Yeah, and it's like, but you get it. Like you... From the perspective of the person who's there, who, you know, busted their brow, they built the town from nothing and everything, and then someone else shows up and it's just, the town's nice. You can understand the frustration going, why does this person get all these nice things that we worked for when, you know, we're the ones who worked for it. But at the same time, it's like, all right, but what you're suggesting, basically, it's like, I had to suffer, so you should as well, is kind of the way it gets to at the long run. And it's like, I understand it doesn't feel good when you work and others benefit who didn't work for it. But at the same time, arbitrarily making other people's situation worse by the measure of what you're, you know, saying, like denying them the things that you've benefited because you put that time in, is kind of just being vindictive. Especially when we're in a situation that genuinely, for the most part, I actually have an abundance of resources. There's not really a reason to withhold anything. Yeah, so I would say the mechanics that feel weak is the exploration feels weak right now. They need to do more with this. They probably plan to. I would suspect they do. The research feels jumbled right now. The city building part, like this field's mostly good. The graphics are nice and all that, but there's definitely a lot more work to be done. And they forgot the others coming along are what helps everyone grow. Yeah, and that's the thing. The worst thing is, like, yeah, we realize, like, literally we have an unsustainable population situation that we are depending on people immigrating to this. Uncharted territory, this rocky geographic is heavily damaged by fire. There's no chance of finding anything useful here. It's a long way to the nearest water source and offers a view of dead landscape on the horizon. We can't go any farther. We should try our luck in other directions. So that's the game telling us, you've reached the end of the world. Try something else. Okay, so we had one destructive accident, 3 days of thunderstorm, and 2 people perished as a result. One of those is because of the pollution from this big forest fire that's happening somewhere, which is why a lot of our materials are struggling a little bit right now, is because we had to ride out where, like, there was, like, massive smoke clouds in our area, so even though we weren't under the fire, it was like, hey, let's all get inside and do all that. Rainbot said, all they asked for was pro and quo to study right. Why should new people be educated before the regular ones? Well, they were talking about they wanted benefits of priority in housing, priority in food distribution, priority in education, priority in everything. And like I said, on the surface, that makes sense. Except in the reality, what you usually end up with is a 2-class system where one of the groups of people is denied opportunities, is the way that usually pans out. So on the surface, if you don't think about it any farther, yes, it seems fair and reasonable and a big ask. But that's not how the way those systems usually turn out in the long run, unfortunately. Because they did mention priority for housing, lotteries, and food, and this and that. And I have a surplus of literally all of those things. So it's basically, if we were to try...
It's my stuff that I worked for. How dare new people who haven't had the chance to contribute yet benefit for the stuff I worked hard for myself and the current people. Had I known new people were gonna join, I wouldn't have done anything.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, I can understand with the sympathy, like I can understand the being upset that you worked and others are getting the benefit. I can understand that. It doesn't feel fair. But it is one of those things that, like, very, very much just the nature of how this all pans out. I'm sitting here making all this weed. Oh, right, we should be able to do the next research now. Like, that's kind of just the thing. It's like you understand where it's coming from, but, like, especially in the condition that the game hit me with, I had a surplus of food, housing, and, like, we're literally, our place that we train people sits idle 90% of the time. So it's kind of like the situation of if you had, like, 100 open houses that are just ready to fill, and be like, no, we need to be given priority housing here. And you're like, look, man, we got half a city of available housing that there is no shortage. No, but we need priority. That's the way it comes across in the moment. Yeah, I mean, in reality, sure, but this game seems to be zero consequence for accepting it. I mean, well, that's the thing. I haven't played it yet, so a lot of these games like to make things where you make a decision and then the consequence comes later. So you make a decision where you go, okay, yeah, we'll give you priority, and then suddenly, like, well, immigration into your town is now dropped by half as a consequence later because, people start to realize you have this, like, 2-class system. Or what ends up happening is you get, like, strife inside your city because, people feel wronged that, yeah, they're new, but they chip in the moment they show there. These games absolutely love to get into those kind of things. If you've ever played, for example, Frostpunk, it is notorious for that kind of stuff, where you make a decision and there will be undisclosed consequences down the road. You can never take anything at surface value. And it might not. Like, that's the whole thing, is you never know. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Never take anything in these kinds of games at surface. Like, for example, we did the barter thing, where it's slightly penalized our productivity, and what ended up happening was, like, 2 years later, we then had it where, like, hey, this barter thing isn't working out, man. You can either, like, double down and keep it going, or you can revert it. And the double down is like, some people are going to be upset. And then the revert is like, you don't know what we're going to do. But that decision would not have occurred at all had I not taken that initial decision. And sometimes, and like in that case, both options were bad. We had one that was a quantifiable bad and another unknown bad. Alright, so I need the wire researched, which should be done. I don't remember where we do that. Let's see. So you don't make wire. The smith, I think, makes a wire. But also, genuinely, I do approach a lot of the games I play that I don't min-max or anything like that. I will often play, make decisions as I would in real life. To a certain extent. Obviously, in games, they put you in extreme scenarios where you make decisions that you wouldn't make in real life, most likely. But, like, when I play Rimworld these days, I don't do, like, the ridiculous cannibalism nonsense or whatever. I do try to treat people decently. Mostly because the novelty of doing, like, the awful things in Rimworld, I've done that before. And after a while, it stops being as interesting when you've done it enough times. You're like, okay, well, this is just Rimworld easier difficulty. But, like, games like to present a lot of times where you make decisions. Okay, are you going to finally go away? Cool. Get your ship out of here. And I never want to hear from you again. I suspect that's just the kind of thing that happens. Is every once in a while you'll have the old world people show up making demands of you, and your choices are to capitulate or else. And what the or else is, you can find out. Yeah, you always try to play as the good guy. I feel like it's usually more challenging. It is. That's actually one of the things I really dislike that some games do, is it's fine when the game goes, you can make the difficult decision of doing, like, the right thing, which is much harder, or you can, cut corners and do the evil thing to, like, benefit yourself now. And then it is one of those things that, like, you have to make those decisions. And that there are impacts of either way. Because it makes it more interesting to do that. Versus, like, the games that let you just be cartoonishly evil and awful, and there's basically no consequences. And I do think there is a place for those games as well, where the ones where you're awful start to finish, and there's no real repercussions. Yeah, no, that's a thing. Like, there's games that go... But where I was going with that is I actually don't like games that force it, though. Where, like, the game deliberately goes out of your way to create a scenario where your only choice is to do cannibalism. It wasn't a player choice. It wasn't, you're desperately trying to claw yourself out of the hole. The game's like, nope, you're going to be a cannibal. Did you not want to be a cannibal? Too bad. That's what we're going to do here. Like, that is a fast way to, like, completely kill my interest in someone's game, is like, oh, we require you to be awful. And it's one thing when it's, like, this cartoonishly, like, silly type thing, that's fine. But when they try and make it, like, serious kind of thing, that to me kills the fun of the game. Like, and I get a lot of those games, they're trying to go with the narrative that, like, hey, desperate times erode people's moralities, like that kind of thing. It's like, I get the message they're trying to do with those. The whole you become the thing you said you never would, yada yada. But it's when it feels so forced that it's like, eh. I didn't really want to take all of that. I suspect with a lot of this stuff out here, we could literally just go here, have these people explore real fast. I also find it interesting. It considers everywhere we've gone our territory. That's interesting. But yeah, do I think I'm gonna do a lot of streams of this game? No, I don't think so. Not this version. I think later on I will. But it's kind of in a similar situation that, that's fine. It's kind of a similar situation that Farthest Frontier was when I played it on stream. It's got a really good start, but it definitely has a lot of pain points. Like, what's going on here that we have our clothing distribution. Oh, you know what? I bet you I need to go into the workers and increase the clothing distribution. That's the problem. We're also going to need to increase our production of that. But yeah. It'll be curious where this game goes. I'm wondering in like a year or two, when this has had more time to bake in its early access and all that, what it will look like. Because it's definitely, of the style of game, this has been one of the more promising. When we started this game, one of the things I had mentioned was genuinely in this genre, like the post-apocalyptic survival city builder, they're kind of a dime a dozen right now, and most of them are pretty like skin deep is about as far as they go. And almost all of them have a mechanic like this, that quite often feels pretty eh. And a lot of them will have your stuff there, and they'll all have like you make the decision that, oh, do you do this or that, and then there's, you know, the unforeseen consequences of those decisions, good, bad, or otherwise. And some of those tend to feel pretty unfair, and some of those often do have the side effect of kind of limiting themselves. Where is your... Somewhere in here is our training place. But they end up having like limited replay value because once you've seen the scripted events... No, seriously, where's this training place? There you are. But once you've seen like the scripted events and how they go through, it ends up being like, oh, have you built all this in 4 hours? Yes. Now, from what I've seen, so we're approaching cycle 5. And I want to say somewhere in here, I think it was on our main building, it implies there's 8 cycles. Which again, that could be entirely just early access kind of thing. Yeah, so we have 3 cycles, three tiers of tech. That it could be that's like as much as they plan ever. It could be that's just an early access thing. This is an early access game. I don't really know. I'm assuming from what I've heard, they're very active on their Discord and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I did not really fancy the scouting thing. I wish there was more automatic. So for me, it's not so much automatic. Like right now, the way this works is you just kind of go through and you say, okay, there's a water resource in that. And I can go here and say, build a well. And it has a daily operating cost. And it gives me materials. So that the idea is, on my tile, and this is probably a performance concern, I actually have... Chief, it's like the story is first told. Even the Nightfalls seems to be losing its darkness. For a few days now, the sun has been shining brighter and stronger. Today is the 7th day of these events, and if our guesses and stories are correct, we're about to experience the same scenario again. There is nothing to do but wait and simply watch. Hopefully it's nothing to worry about. Oh, is it going to be another solar flare that destroys all our electronics? Bad omen, solar storm. We saw with our own eyes, half a century later, the same disaster is upon us again. We're not as fragile as the modern world that faced the first one, but we're sure it will bring nothing but harm. When and how, time will tell. And I missed where those people were even needed. Okay, Taylor there. Where's the other Taylor? Taylor here. Mine there. Yeah, cinematic shots are pretty sweet. Oh, yeah. But what I was saying before that popped up is right now the way this works is it's just you kind of go here and say, oh, I've explored, here's the resources I get. But there's no meaningful decisions or story or interaction. They're all duplicate things. So that to me tells me that this has just been kind of like put an early version of it. That it's a placeholder for whatever this will ultimately become. But what I would expect is you'd go over here. You know, maybe some of them are just supply nodes. But you'd have stuff like, oh, hey, we found this other small encampment. They're floundering. We can help them rebuild themselves. You gain a trade partner. Or we can, you know, encourage them to join us. We get workers. Or we can steal their stuff. And, you know, we get their stuff. Or, like, you know, those kind of things that the decisions have impact. That if you steal their stuff, others might hear about you. And then they will be less likely to cooperate with you in the future, that kind of thing. Alright, so now I can finally make the smelter, which is nice and compact, so I could probably fit that in one of these grids, yeah. That already had some stuff there. Alright. But yeah, so like, there's a lot of good here, but there's it definitely feels like this is not baked in fully yet, that is not baked in, because the one is like, I kept finding that I kind of researched this, but it required a thing from back there, and, you know, this one required a thing from a tech later on, that it felt like they were making balancing changes, but didn't rearrange the research tree quite yet. So there's balance decisions, but it's early access, that's going to happen. Those are the exact type of problems you expect in early access stuff. Alright, so we're good there. We're good with our tools. We could use more of that. Yeah, so like all of them, it's just materials. It is a pretty big area that you get to explore. I do imagine if they went in and they made more meaningful, like, story and interesting things happen here, there could be a lot of room here for story building stuff. And what they could also do is do the whole thing where it's not truly RNG. They would have like a set number of different events or whatever you find, but where you find them would be randomized, that kind of things, to add some replayability. Now, with all that said, what's going to end up happening here in just a couple minutes is, with my stream, what I usually do is I play 2 games per stream, because I stream for over 9 hours. So we're usually roughly at the halfway point, as I will switch games that I'm playing. So we're getting to be around that point. I have enjoyed this. News cycle does feel pretty fun. That said, do I think this is going to be a game I'm going to be playing like regularly on the channel? Probably not. I think this will be a game that I wait for like their next big update to drop. And when their next big update to drop, then we might circle back to it. Let's see, do you know that there is a menu over your buildings where you assign workers to all buildings at the same time? I did not. Because that's another thing, is their tutorial feels not great right now. It's very wall of texty and a lot of tell don't show, which is the opposite of what you want. You want more show don't tell. So instead of here is where you choose your production, here is where your people are, here's where this is, go, hey, choose your production. Hey, add a person there. Oh, look, 25%. Hey, add 3 more people. Hey, look, 100%. And now you've not only shown them how the mechanic works, but you've also helped them quantify it. Like, they don't need to, like, spell out the percents and everything. But, oh, if there was one, I have not seen it. There's some menus over here that there's, like, lots of data here, but I haven't seen that I can interact with any of this. Like, this This is a thing to get stuff at a glance. And so there's a lot of cool stuff in here, but at the same time, it goes here. Like, another big complaint I have is if you pause, you can no longer interact with stuff. So if I was like, I want to know what all these do, let me pause and read them, I can't. And I don't get that. Like, I get why you do that in a real-time strategy game or something like that, you know, you want to keep the action moving. It's a city builder. It's a city builder. You want to stop and be like, oh, where do I want to build this? Let me figure it out. It's a city builder. Like, if it was a city builder where, like, timing matters, it's like, oh, you're going to be attacked in half an hour. Like, sure. But it's not. And they weirdly give you a 1/10 time, which is fine by me. And I can still do stuff at 1/10 time, but I don't get why you can't mouse, like, literally it disables everything, including your settings. You can't get at while it's paused. It unpause. I wish they got rid of this setup. Just pause it normally. Because they put extra effort into disabling these functions. Reality is what they did is they probably put an overlay over top of everything. And all of this is still technically interactable on the back end, but because this is overlaying it, you can't get to it. I don't know that for a fact. But we got all that going on. But yeah, so what's going to happen is I'm going to quickly use the restroom, take a quick like minute or two break, and then we're going to be probably switching up our games. More than likely, we're going to be switching over to Timberborn for the new update. For those who are not familiar with Timberborn, is a post-apocalyptic city builder with sentient beavers. It's really kind of neat where instead of games like this, let me go ahead and end the YouTube side. So those check it out on YouTube and on TikTok. I'm going to have to end the stream on all you because I can't switch categories on you. So I will catch you all later. But all of us over here on Twitch,